Hey guys, it's your girl DWB, and you are now watching World Africa Day of Play 2025 with Black Girl Gamers.
It's DWB, baby.
It's for somebody special. Yeah, can't wait it out tonight. Baby, you're special. Can't wait it out tonight. Yeah, can't believe it's so. Yeah, 20 nights been so. Baba don't lose composure. Yeah, girl, my champion lover. Would you wait for me now? Yeah, 'cause now you did cross my mind. Would you wait for me now? I know, ain't no distance, ain't no time to get me back at you. Got too many flows, I've been killing them. Oh baby, tell me since you're feeling them. Ain't worth the mile, it's a million them. Say baby, I. Got too many flows, I've been killing them. Oh baby, tell me since you're killing them. Mine want to die, yeah, she killing them. Say baby, I. Yeah, man, it's a yeah, man. A papa boy living, yeah, man. Yeah, man, it's a yeah, man. Me can't show you what the yeah, man. Yeah, man, it's a yeah, man. Papa boy living, yeah, man. Yeah, man, it's a yeah, man. Me can't show you what the yeah, man. Yeah. Me say no problem, me say no qualms on. Right. Every other day, me a day with the family. Yeah. Telling me a place for the KC a story. Right. Say me no high, me no body. Me have to cool on things, it's a rule on things. When you pull on things, get away from me. Mull on things, tell me who run things. Cause the roll on things is the game. Still carrots on the paper. Me one day we will make her. If you say you be greater, tell me why. Oh now, got too many flows, I be killing them. Oh baby, tell me since you're feeling them. Ain't worth them buying, it's a million them. Say baby, I. Got too many flows, I be killing them. Oh baby, tell me since you're killing them. Mine want to die, yeah, she killing them. Say baby, I. My hearty if you run kitty when I pull up on you. Yeah, I mean if you act when I see you blushing, yeah, you put me on. Yeah, girl I want, girl I like you, so me want. Girl I want, girl I like you like me too. Yeah. People say if you try and force it, something right. Ain't the same when it's someone you know you really like. All the feels in the moment, but it kills when I know it. Where would they go? Yeah, where would they go? Oh no, I pick up, I do that. You see me, you can live for me, pick up. I do it, you do it. For this level, I'ma let you do it. Me no get problem, I pull my damn so. Me like the way you know. You see my heart, if you run, kitty, when I and my guys, we dey celebrate. See party police make we elevate. See bad vibes, not we tolerate. Wait, say we go kill her, kill her. Shine you be the circulate. Say give me, I'ma give me Kate. See bad vibes, we no tolerate. Wait, say we go kill her, kill her.
Hey guys, it's your girl DWB. I hope you enjoyed my set. Big shout out to Black Girl Gamers for having me. Catch me on socials. My Instagram is DJ_DWB, TikTok DJDWB, and SoundCloud DJDWB. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hey guys.
Hi. Welcome to World Africa Day of Play. Before we even start, let's give a huge round of applause and a huge shout out to DJ DWB, who's representing Nigeria all the way from London. Thank you so much for kicking off the vibes of World Africa Day of Play for 2025. We were, literally. I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Welcome at home or wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this celebration of the growing Black African gaming community, independent studios, and talent across the continent. My name is Lopez, and I'm the CEO of Black Girl Gamers, and I am but one member of the fabulous Black Girl Gamers team that is bringing you this showcase today. And I'm joined by my co-host. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Hi, hello everyone, and welcome. So my name is Jennifer, but you can call me Jane. I'm a streamer and games journalist, so you can find me on Twitch for weekly gaming news. I'm also the founder of what I like to call the Black Girl Gamers French cousin. So it's called Afro-Gamers. You know, it's a community of French-speaking Black women and minorities in games. I'm just so glad, Black Girl Gamers is celebrating African talent, because I'm obviously French, but I was born in Africa, in Benin specifically. And yeah, in Benin, we do have a lot of people kicking things off in the gaming industry. So I'm just really delighted to be able to help showcase some of our amazing talent today. Yeah, thank you for having me, everyone.
Yay! So before we kick off, I just want to let you know how much this kind of connection has happened, because I remember the first time I met Jane, and it was in London. It was in person. She came to an event that I co-produced called Gamer Girls Night In, which is coming back. But she came all the way from France to London for that event. And here we are celebrating digitally. I love it.
Yes, I love it. Just like first IRL and then online. And next time, we don't know. We're just going to see what's going to happen.
Yes, 100%. So just to let you know, today we're going to be giving away some game keys and some Black Girl Gamers merch. So stay tuned during the panels. There will be breaks, and those will be an opportunity for you to win something sweet. Also, for the anime fans in the chat, if you didn't know, up until the end of today, you can qualify for a Crunchyroll 30-day free trial by buying 2 subscriptions to this channel. So just to let you know, if you want to get your Demon Slay or your solo leveling or whatever you're watching on, you can subscribe to this channel and get a free 30-day Crunchyroll trial.
Yep, get the freebies. Also, for those of you who maybe were there yesterday, World Africa Day of Play started yesterday, because we held an online mixer connecting African game devs with creatives. So if you attended, we actually want to hear about it. Tell us in the chat. How did it go for you? Who did you meet? What were the highlights for you? Definitely feel free to engage with us and ask questions throughout the day. We are here for you. All right, so I actually cannot wait for this to start. We've got 4 pre-recorded panel interviews with game developers based in Africa. And obviously, because of intermittent connectivity issues, you are probably going to see some panelists drop or experience a delay within the panel. That is fine. They're just the realities of game dev in Africa. Okay, and now if everybody's ready, without further ado, let's head on to the very first panel of the day, which I actually moderated. It's all about growing as an eSports and gaming creator in Africa, and let's see what they have to say. Hi everyone, this is Jane. We are live for World Africa Day of Play. This is an amazing event showcasing African games and creators. So I'm a games journalist, content creator. I am the founder of a French community called Afro-Gamers, and I am obviously your host for today as well. I am so delighted actually to start this discussion, which is going to be about growing as esports and gaming creators in Africa. And we have 3 beautiful people to talk about all of this with. So we have Cholwe, who is the director at Team J-Matrix. Hello, Cholwe.
Hi, everyone.
We also have Sylvia, aka the Queen Arrow. Sylvia, who's an esports athlete. She's a Tekken player. She is a champion. We're so lucky to have you. You're also based in Kenya. So hello, Sylvia. And Queen Arrow. I should call you Queen Arrow.
Hello, Jane. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, of course. And then we also have the Beast. His name is Brian, but you can call him the Beast. The Beast is a gaming ambassador in Africa, also based in Kenya. How are you doing?
I am fine today, and I'm very delighted and happy to be amongst you awesome people. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you so much, all of you, to be here with us today to have this amazing discussion. I think it's going to be very insightful for people who maybe want to, start a career in gaming and also as content creator, maybe as eSport athletes. So I have a bunch of questions to ask you, and one of the very first is going to be about your amazing careers, and also a career that is viable because all of your endeavors are actually your professional jobs on a daily basis, right? So I want to ask you first this question, which is about how did you manage to convince your parents that this was an actual viable career for you? How did you manage? What was the secret? I think many of us actually want to know. Maybe we can start with you, Queen Arrow.
So how I managed to convince my parents that this was a career is I've always had the motto that it's better to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. And I think this side of the world, actions speak louder than words. So I felt that I had to find a way to make it work, regardless of the obstacles and challenges that came my way. So once I was able to start traveling, get on stuff like the Forbes list, and just to cite some of the highlights of my career, that's when they started to see that maybe there was something here, and they started to give me more leeway to pursue what it is that I wanted, so long as I still focused on my studies.
Yeah. So you actually decided to show them what you are doing and to have them start believing that this could actually be a good path for you. What about you, the Beast? How did it happen for you to actually convince your people to believe that this is a viable career?
Mine was more of the tough love kind of situation. First of all, I was brought up with a single mom, and I grew up in a ghetto as well, so she didn't understand technology, and a lot of people did not understand what gaming was back then. They used to associate it with something we called video, where you just go pay like 2 shillings, sit there, watch movies the whole day. So I had the toughest time explaining to my mom what that was, and she ended up beating me up like every other day. It became part of how I grew up. I was being beaten every other evening when I came back from gaming because we couldn't afford it from home. Fast forward, when I became an adult, I was featured in a newspaper, and when she saw me on the newspaper, she asked, "This is what you've been doing?" And I was like, "Yes, mom, this is what I've been doing." By that time, I already had a beard, and she was like, "Keep up the good work." So, yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
And you better do it well.
Not even better do it well. She was like, "Just keep up the good work." And in my head, I'm like, you almost killed me. Yeah. That's the journey.
Amazing story. That is actually so inspiring. What about you, Cholwe? What happened for you? You created an actual esports team in Zambia. How did that happen? How did you manage to make it, like an actual career?
Yeah. Mine was a bit similar to both Sylvia and Brian. I grew up in a normal family unit, but then towards my second year, my parents divorced. So I was kind of like left in a position where I was on my own. So I had to like figure out what I wanted to do. And naturally, I've always been a rebel. I've been that girl who's always riding bikes, playing video games, while the other girls are playing with dolls and, stuff like that. So come to uni, when I had to drop out of school because of my parents' divorce, I decided to try and do a business that I would be interested in, but would actually give me life skills that would help me build a profession. I didn't even know what profession I would do. So teamed up with my co-founder, then I was referred to a startup incubator called Bongo Hive here in Lusaka. And there I went through incubation and acceleration, and they showed me how to run a business, create a business model, and know my persona and really know who I'm serving. So I pivoted a lot between events management and running a team, and settled for running a team first so that I could create impact and then eventually pivot to other things. So that's how the team really started.
It's actually an incredible story. It's all about entrepreneurship for all of you, actually. So because you have all of that amazing experience right now, the goal of the panel is really going to be for you to share, some of your advice to people who might want to do the same, to grow as a gaming or esports content creator or esports athlete. And so I want to start maybe with you, Quinaro, if you can share some of your tips. If you find a player who actually also wants to go pro, where do you think they should start in kind of growing their profile and also their niche?
So the advice I'd actually give anyone who's trying to grow their profile and become a pro is, I'd say they need to have a foundation in the community that they want to become a pro in, be it Call of Duty, be it FIFA, be it Tekken, be it Mortal Kombat, whatever. Point is, you need to have a strong community foundation, because the community is where you'll run to when things get tough, especially if you're trying to improve your skill set. And these are the people who are going to go all the way out in supporting you. And I've seen that with my own career. So community is where it's at, the grassroots is where it's at. And that's something I've come to believe a bit more fervently of late.
Yeah. What would you say, Cholwe, to the players that you actually help grow? What kind of advice do you actually give them when they actually want to go professional?
The advice I actually forgive them is really to look at it more like they're an entertainer, because most people really forget that okay, as much as we would like to push esports to call it a sport, yes, it is a sport in certain aspects, but it's more about entertainment. So because of that, I try to encourage them to really think about it as being very well-rounded and dynamic. It's something that I also pointed out to Sylvia when we met at Mzansi Esports Championship. Because you're an entertainer, you really have to figure out how to marry your gameplay with your brand, and try and create a brand that tells a story of how your gameplay is progressing and how your community is also growing as you are personally growing. And so that's what I've really encouraged them to do, because when you the star player really gets that impact, your community also gets growth and impact as well, and your country or your region also gets recognition. And then opportunities start to open up for almost everyone, not just the players who are at the top. So that's what I usually encourage them to do when they're thinking of going pro. Think about it as you being an entertainer and creating a well-rounded brand around yourself, not just the gameplay.
Okay, but do you think it's also, kind of mandatory, and is it necessarily, do you have to be a really good player at what you're doing? Do you have to be really good at your game, to actually even consider becoming pro or not? What is your experience on that, the Beast?
I think it beats the point. The point is to grow with the game, to learn the game. You cannot just be good at the game offset. Even if you're a genius, you have to, make time and play with other people to grow yourself as a player. And I can give my own example. Before I became the Beast, everybody used to walk over me until I had to sit down and learn the game. And then I was able to understand how the game works, and in turn I became unbeatable. It has to be a journey. Otherwise, if you start on top, I think for me the best part of the journey is that losing part. You know how it feels to lose, so that day you win even once, that happiness. The first time I won, I got second place. I carried the check on my shoulder until I got home. That thing they give you when you win, I carried it on my shoulder. That's how it felt after 2 years. So I don't think you have to be good at the game, but you have to be good at learning and ready to learn to become a better player. I think that is what is most important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah, also games come out every other often, and they have different mechanics in different games. As I said, you are supposed to be an entertainer and be able to play a couple of games. You won't be good at all of them, but if you are a good entertainer from the inside, whatever game you touch, even if you don't know how to play, people will watch because they enjoy watching you and the way you consume and give them the content, rather than how you know how to play the game. Look at
Yeah.
most of the streamers and you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
take that advice. I want to talk about, of course, growing as a creator, but getting to the next level. So basically, you're working with brands. So I know that for you, Queen Arrow, you've managed to kind of. I know you've been sponsored by Red Bull, and you've had other also collaborations. So what were some collaborations, that really worked out for you, and what would you advise to people who also want to get to that part where they actually manage to get brand to work with them?
So I've been fortunate to have my partnership with Red Bull and with Evnia. And I think what they saw in me is someone who had every potential to become a big brand in and out of myself. And, our values were aligned on the same thing. So my advice to people seeking brand partnerships is that not all partnerships are created equal. You have to be aligned with the values of the brand that you want to be in partnership with, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to sleep at night. You need to be able to actually realize that at the end of the day, you have a duty of care to your community. The people who are following you are following you because of who you are, and they see they see a part of themselves in you, and you have a duty of care in return to actually be aligned with partnerships that are actually healthy for the community. Because at the end of the day, if a brand comes into the community and they end up, for lack of a better term, being toxic, that blame will lie on you at the end of the day. So seek out brands whose values are in alignment with yours, and at the end of the day, it's a win-win for the community.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So be aligned with yourself and with your community before choosing a brand. Like, actually vet the collaborations that you want to have and make that decision based also on your values. That's actually quite insightful. What about for you, Chowe? I have a specific question for you, because when you work with the players, I want to know about what you advise them in terms of what they should invest in. So my question basically is, where do you think they should invest themselves in? Does it start maybe with the tech that they're going to use? Does it align more with like the visuals? Should they invest more on coaching? Where do you think they should put maybe their money, their efforts to actually grow as creators, as professional players?
So when it comes to the gameplay, I think mostly it's more about adaptability, because the games change. There's always new patches, there's always new characters, but it's more about consistent practice. So what most of our players would do is they would have a specific group of players who they would reconnect with frequently to more like coach each other and practice with each other. And then some other times they would go online and just do random sets online with the server, so that they could experience what it's like to play with other people. Or they could ask for matches with other players, specifically in other countries, where the pin is available for them to actually learn more technique. So it's more like throwing yourself in a deep end consistently and adapting to the gameplay of your community. So I think at the end of the day, you can only be as good as your scene in a way. So if you're just like locked to, say, for example, Africa, you reach your peak in Africa. But if you get exposed and you're constantly going to Asia, to the US, to Europe, your technique also evolves, because you start to adapt to how other players or how the other communities are also playing the game. So that's how it is when it comes to the technicality of the game. When it comes to the brand, say content creation and streaming, I think it's that one really comes from you wanting it as bad as anyone. Most players in Africa don't want it as bad as most people would expect them to want it. So if you want it, you have to go ahead for it. You have to just grab it by the neck. Start your YouTube channel, be consistent. Start your Instagram, start your TikTok. Create alliances within the community. Create content with other people. Build a story around your gameplay, around your brand. Tell the story of your community and let people attach to that. And that's something that I've consistently admired about Brian and Pinaro, and I've really used that as like a stepping stone to really advise players who are, thinking of starting out as content creators, to say it's not just about your gameplay. You can be the best player on the continent, but if you can't back it up with a brand, no one will know who you are. It will be the same as being the best player in your bedroom or amongst your friends. So you really have to be intentional when you're thinking about it, going pro as a content creator and as a player.
Yeah. This is actually, I feel like this really applies to you, the Beast, for your own content. Can you tell us more about maybe some of the examples of what you did, some of your experience that made you realize, okay, this I did really well because this actually made me get where I am today. And maybe some of the experiences that didn't work out so well. What are some of the best practices and maybe some advice that you wouldn't give to people based on your own experience?
I think for me it's just two: consistency and being authentic. One, I realized I had to be the best of what I wanted to be, which I didn't know then. Then I started gaming and realized, there are people who are better than me, so I need to play and learn how to play and become better. Then when I became a better player, I realized, there's a gap in the community that needs to be filled, whereby there are not so many people who know how to play the game. They don't have connections to where to get the tournaments. They have zero information about what is happening in the gaming world. Then I realized, that is also something. Now that I have the knowledge, I can go and teach the others. So in that, I try to be myself. Like, if you see me in the community, I don't walk around like, hey, I made it. No, I'm like, we are laying the foundation stone so that I think maybe our grandchildren or children are the ones who are going to really, really enjoy the esports space. So for me, I feel the work I do right now is to lay that foundation for them. So consistency has done it for me. Like I said, I started going to tournaments as a loser. I came out as a winner, and I realized there was a gap because people stopped coming to tournaments because Beast is coming. For me, that did not make me smile. It gave me pressure because I was like, wait, so because I'm good, there are no people to play with. That's not how it should be. And then somebody say, Beast is the best in Kenya. I'm like, bro, if I go to Europe or US, I'll be number 300. What are you guys talking about? So people couldn't see that. So I took it upon myself to make sure that people see that difference, so that if you play with me and you win, you know what you're doing. If you play with me, I don't let you win. I just make sure you know what you do. So yeah, I've just taken it upon myself to be consistent and authentic in how it worked for me. It's just putting blood, sweat, and tears and doing it every other day, teaching everyone you get to make sure we all grow. Yeah.
One last question for all of you. What would be, maybe a message that you would want to share to the people who basically want to follow your path? Whether as a gaming content creator or as an esports athlete in your countries, there are not many people who can do the same as what you're actually doing. So you're really inspiring many people in your countries and around the world. What would be a quick advice that you would give to people just to wrap up with this discussion? Maybe starting with you, Beast.
Mine is going to be very straightforward because I've been dealing with a lot of youth, and I've been doing campus tours, doing mentorship, and I realize a lot of these youngins don't have that patience to build anything. They want things that happen in a microwave form of or sense, if you get it. Like they just want it instantly, you know, and it ends up giving them false ideas and wrong directions to get to where they want to get. Again, I would say if you want to be good at anything, if it's gaming, if it's stream, whatever you want to be good at, you have to put time in it before you start seeing the fruits of it. You have to be
do the work.
patient and be ready to learn. I think I love using the words Bruce Lee used, become water. And in that sense, be able to learn where you are and fit in. Don't ever be a full cup. Be ready to learn. That's the only way you'll move forward.
Be like water.
Yes, be like water. Like, you know, we are in Africa, and people, I've realized, want to treat gaming in Africa as if we are abroad, but a lot of things don't work in our favor. So for me, I've made gaming work because I've understood I'm in Africa. And for us to get to the next step, I need to understand first I'm in Africa so that we can grow. So if everybody understood this, our work becomes easier. So
Yeah.
consistency and patience are going to be my 2 words for tonight.
Thank you so much, Beast. What about you, Cholwe? Very quickly, what would you be your advice, your final advice?
So if you want to go be a content creator, be a pro player and grow your brand, you have to start where you are at. So if you have a phone, start with mobile gaming. If you have a PC, start with PC. If you have a console, start with a console. So start with what you have. And then as you're building your brand, building your basically your talent, attach yourself to a community. The reason for this is it's like being a lone wolf. Lone wolves don't survive. You have to be part of a pack. So stick to a community, grow with that community. Then the other thing is, as you're growing with that community, you face a lot of challenges. You're going to face a lot of pushbacks and a lot of failure. Failure is part of the process. Fail as fast as you can all the time. And also, the last but not least, enjoy the process. This is something that
trust.
Other generations have never experienced before. Our generation has experienced, you know, the telephone from Nokia to now we're live streaming together on Riverside. So enjoy the process of creating content, enjoy the process of creating history, and just basically have fun. Do it as a brand, do it as a business, but have fun.
Last but not least, an advice from Queen Arrow herself. What would you say to people who want to follow your path very quickly?
The one piece of advice I'd give people who want to follow the path that I have followed is you need to be kind to yourself. We are the pioneers of this industry, and unfortunately, I think we're more or less working with the, I think I'd even say less than the bare minimum. We are a marginalized region in all aspects of the term. And there are days it's going to get really, really tough. But as long as you have your goals, your objectives, and your vision in mind, let that be the reason that you keep pushing and keep moving forward. And I do think in the fullness of time, we will see what an industry that actually works for us and not for third parties who don't give a damn about us.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your wonderful insights today. I was so glad having this conversation with you. Let's go to the very next talk, very next panel. Let's wrap it for now. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.
Yay! Oh, wow.
And welcome back, everybody. What did you think of this panel? It was so interesting. So obviously that was me moderating the panel. My hair is just different, right? I had to make this day special, so I went with blue. Let me think if you like it. Let me know. I actually love doing this panel, you know, especially because I've met all of the panelists before back in Kenya and also in South Africa. I was part of an event called Africa eSports Champions, and it's like an all-women, all-African tournament on Tekken 7 and Tekken 8. It was just a cool event, and it's just one of those many, many gaming initiatives that are occurring on the continent, but that most people don't know about.
Yeah, I agree, because like even before we started doing World Africa Day of Play, Akuya from our team brought this up and she wanted to kind of expose more visibility on things that were happening on the continent. So shout out to Akuya, who's backstage. Yeah, like, so we don't know that there's a kind of like a black gaming renaissance happening elsewhere. Sometimes when you live in the West, you're just so siloed and so focused on your environment that you forget to reach back home. You forget to like look around everywhere that's happening in different communities. So I think it's brilliant. I really loved this panel and some of the points that they came up with. The first question was really good because convincing parents is real. That's like a universal experience. We don't talk about that enough. Like the older generation can halt things. They can encumber their next steps or the next stars in gaming just because they have like a lack of understanding. So yeah, that was a really good question. I love that.
Yeah, I just love that, you know, we are now a generation of people who really don't give a damn. Like, I know that I love to like do things first. I like to go in first. I like to not necessarily follow through what other, you know, think or what other people do. And yeah, I just like to go with my own flow. And I love that, you know, this is what actually drives innovation, right, in the whole world. So for me, one of the takeaways from the panels is that, you know, when Brian was saying that you have to remain consistent, stay authentic, because brands will work with you because you are you, not someone else, right? I love that they mentioned that if you are changing the game for yourself, then you would also mean that you're changing the game for other people in your own country and around the world, right? So the impact is real. Like, let's not be afraid of actually breaking barriers and trying out new stuff. Let's just, you know, get out of our own comfort zone. And yeah, I really love that they believe that dreams are accessible to everyone. You know, when they mentioned that you can be good at the game, you don't have to be the best, but you need to be, you know, ready to improve. I really love that take.
I love that, and it's true because you don't ever start where you end. So that you just have to get over like your imposter syndrome, your just feeling, or maybe I don't know everything. You're not going to know everything. No one knows everything. Everyone has to work in a team, and the lone wolf kind of idea is really, really important. I think especially when it comes to like the creator economy, and I think some creators and organizations have forgotten this, that the idea of community and what that really means. A lot of places mistake followership for community, and they want to leverage the word community because it sounds nice and it sounds pretty, but only as long as they're the ones visible and only as long as they're the ones getting the opportunities. And I think we need to step back from that and really think about why we're doing things and who's benefiting, and if we can open the door for our pack, our wolf pack. And the last thing was that like Queen Arrow mentioned integrity, and that all ties into like having integrity when it comes to being a creator and the brands and stuff that you work with. So fantastic stuff, just fantastic stuff. But yes, so now we're going to move on to our first mini game showcase, and this is featuring Kiro Games from Cameroon, Miki Entertainment, Nganing Games from Cote d'Ivoire, and Gundu Interactive from Nigeria. Let's see what these studios have to offer.
My fellow Mbwanis, we are facing serious times. Our nation is struggling. When young people are looking for work, they find nothing. Our roads are broken everywhere. Insecurity is on the rise, and everyone does as they wish. Unfortunately, we the government have to admit that things have really got out of hand. Our civil servants are saturated and can no longer meet the expectation of the nation because you people are not passionate enough. That said, we cannot let the country like this. We have to fix things. This is why, under the very high instruction of our great founding president and guide, His Excellency Raoul Boutel Mugadian, from now on, everyone can join the government elites of the Republic of Mboa and work with us to fix the country. Come and work in the General Ministry to earn money. Answer questions of the Mboanese civilians. Treat serious cases for the country. Spend your money to equip your home. Wine and dine in the best restaurants. Have fun at night in the snacks. Manage your love life. Have good time with your girlfriend. But be aware that the life of an elite in Boa is also full of temptations. Will you resist the seductive advance of beautiful ladies on WhatsApp? Which side will you choose in the office war for power? Will you resist corruption? Or not? Anyway, depending on your choice, you will have different results. Just be sure to face the consequences. Download the Elite Soft Boa on your mobile and laugh every 5 minutes.
Hello people, it's your girl Lolly Ogunike, live at 6 p.m. on BNZ.
Primalians, welcome back to your favorite competition. The audience is shaking with so much engagement and attention. It's marvelous to see such a joy and happiness back in the arena.
Ready, Rays? I heard so many beautiful tales about you. Hope for half of them to be true.
Avoid speaking in vain.
Ah, fascinating. So tell me, how thrilling was it to betray your comrades? How exciting was it to murder Lord Glyneth? Did her suffering please you enough? You became a critical threat for Primalian safety, and now expect your worthless return to erase the unmeasurable losses you caused?
My presence here implies more than answering your useless queries, Flying Head.
Of course it does, but enough said. Show me what the myth around your plasma blades is all about.
We love this tension. Can't wait to see what's coming next. Let's go!
These guys are ritualists. I can't let them have their way.
I will teach you obedience.
And welcome back, everybody. How is it going still? Okay, hold that thought. I know you want to talk about the games that we just saw. We're going to come back to that in a few minutes. But first, there are some lucky people in the chat. I'm talking about you, obviously. You get to participate in a giveaway that we are doing right now.
Yes. So, we had to pull up with some gifts for you all. We can't show up and support without getting a little something. So we have 2 giveaways, and we got 1 giveaway for 3 lucky winners of game keys and a second giveaway for a Black Girl Gamers mug. So the first game key is Kiro Games Orient Legacy on Steam. Then we have Kiro Games Orient Legacy on Xbox. And we also have Fear Factor Toss Down Game, the demo key on Steam, which you'll see also during the highlights on all our showcases throughout the time. So whilst you do that, make sure you put ! giveaway in the chat to enter. ! giveaway in the chat to enter. And we'll let you know later on, well, in a minute after we talk about these games, who's won the giveaway. All right, so first of all, Jane, what were your thoughts? Let me know what your thoughts are. We saw 4 games. We saw the Elite of Mbawa, we saw Circuit Chakula, we saw Primal Force, and we saw Beyond Service.
Yeah, I mean, we need to talk about the Elite of Mboa, like, please. Can you see, like, did you see how fun this game? And also, I feel like it's like a satire, of what some African countries' politics can look like. It mentions corruption, it's about dating, like, it goes really deep into, like, the daily lives of, a person living in West Africa. So I feel like this could be a very, very fun surprise. I played it back in the day, it was a while ago, but I know that Olivier Madiba, who's creating the game, is still developing it. He wants to go to the next level for the game. But what did you think of it? I felt like it was so, so modern, to be honest, and so real. I just loved everything about it.
The Elite of Mbawa, sorry, apologies.
Yes, Mbawa, yeah.
Is a game that cracked me up when I first watched the trailer. I was like, it takes a level of skill to take real scenarios or real things that people might be frustrated about and turn them into human comedy and in the game form as well, because it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to land, right? And the trailer was just hilarious, authentic. I like management games, so I'm looking forward to playing that and seeing how that takes up all my time. But yeah, I'm just excited for that one. The voice acting
was so good.
It was like definitely an encore. I was just like, okay, it's just hilarious. The story, you immediately know what's going on as well. So I think that's really cool. I think
it looks like a game for, like, obviously partly, but mainly focused for other Africans, because they would get it, they would understand. And I just love that we don't have many of those. And then there was also Primal Force, which looked very futuristic. There's maybe some Afrofuturist stuff in there. I really love that vibe too.
It was Ray's, the character with the blonde hair, and he was just very stoic and very, like, ready to fight. And I was like, okay, we're gonna get into some violence a little bit. Okay, let's get into some action. But the other game that I really loved was Circuit Chakula, because Circuit Chakula, I don't know if you clocked at the beginning of the trailer, but you can play music through the game on the phone, and that was really beautiful, a nice touch. And you immediately get the story that you're trying to have this kid in school, and you're not trying to let the kid drop out of school, so you've got to fix these robots, and all the different fixing mechanics and hacking mechanics were different. So I liked that a lot. But yeah, I think, have you had people enter the giveaway in the chat? Has everyone entered the giveaway? All right, so we're gonna pick some winners from the giveaway. Bear with us as we get our little team behind the screen to pick some winners. And who's winning what, we'll announce it in a second.
And that would be good to mention that we are soon, like in the very next showcase, you are going to get to see what Kiro Games Orient Legacy looks like. It's obviously a super cool game. And I just love that, in this showcase, in the very event, we also get to showcase some of the Francophone games, because, we don't talk much about West Africa and what the French African industry is doing in gaming. And I just love that we get to also show them off here, because Kiro Games is really a pioneer, Orient Legacy's team. Orient Legacy, the game was made, I think, at least 10 years ago, so they were really like the very first game brought to PC on Steam, and then now it's also live on Xbox. So yeah, it really is a gem that you definitely need to play, guys.
Yeah, definitely. That game, we'll talk about it when we see it, but I've got some history with that game, especially with my siblings and them being young Black boys and just getting to see something that is really positive. So 100%. I think the other game that I want to talk about in that showcase that we just watched was Beyond Service, because it was giving me it's given me like a Souls-like game, and I don't think we get to see that from us. We don't get to see that in what that looks like in cultural elements that relate to us. We don't get to see that. It's very much always kind of dark, gothic, European, middle-aged, medieval times kind of feel. But this feels like a Souls-like potentially that would be more tying to us, and I think that's really, again, really inspiring and exciting because we don't get to see this, and the industry forgets there's so much you can do.
Yeah. Just exploring that African creativity, and making sure that these games who are maybe currently being developed or maybe they're going to be released very soon, making sure that they get to be seen by the entire world and not just by Africans. I feel like that is so important to remind people. And also remind people that, you're going to get to see a lot of games today. So keep your mind open because just like you said earlier, we are so used to everything we're used to here in the West, whether it be in Europe or in the US. So keep your mind open and you're going to learn some stuff, discover other cultures, and you're going to love it.
Yeah. 100%. But we have our giveaway winners, so let's just announce who's won. So congratulations to your big sister who won the Orion Legacy Steam key, X-Kegs who won the Orion Legacy Xbox key, Mike28771 who won the Toss Down demo key, and Diana X Dulce who won the Black Girl Gamers mug. Congratulations. Can we get some booty shaking in the chat? Let's go. Congratulations everyone. But yes, and also just a heads up, if you want to keep up to date with Black Girl Gamers updates, hit !newsletter in the chat, so we'll send you the sign up form. And if you're a Black woman or a non-binary gamer and you want to join Black Girl Gamers, do !join in the chat and we'll send you that verification form. Okay, so up next, we're delving into the world of animation. Over the recent years, we've seen African animation enter the Hollywood spotlight. From the recent blockbuster cartoon Iyanu on Max, ITVX and Cartoon Network, which has now been renewed for season 2, there's also Iwaju on Disney+. And if you want to learn more about Iwaju, our correspondent Sola interviewed the team on our YouTube channel, so head to youtube.com/BlackGirlGamers, and you can watch that whole interview about how they brought that futuristic Nigerian landscape to life. So our next panel, we have our Director of Community Marketing, Akuya Harris, who joins Roy Akupe, the showrunner of Iyanu, and Francis Y. Brown, Creative Director at Animax FYB Studios, to explore the intersection of gaming and animation, how design and storytelling across platforms can cultivate more passionate communities and create new opportunities for play beyond the controller. So let's get into it.
Hi everyone, thank you all for joining us for our second World Africa Day of Play. My name is Akuya, I'm the Director of Community Marketing with Black Girl Gamers, and I'm joined by two animators from Ghana and Nigeria respectively, who are going to talk to us about how we can use animation to create new opportunities for play, both within cartoons, within animation, and within the gaming space. So for anyone that's not familiar, both of you, if you could introduce yourselves and give us a little bit about the projects that you have just launched and are working on.
I guess I'll go first. Hello everybody, my name is Roy Ekupe. Originally born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. I am now based in Washington, D.C. in the US. I am the creator, showrunner, and executive producer of Iyanu, which is now airing on Cartoon Network every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. EST and PST, and then next day on Max. It's also going to be premiering on Showmax in I think 44 countries in Africa in June 13th to be specific, and it will also be on ITVX in the UK this summer as well. So really excited to be here today and talk all things Ian.
Francis?
All right. So my name is Francis Y. Brown. I'm the creative director of Animax FYB Studios. Animax FYB Studios is one of Africa's premium animation hubs based in Accra, Ghana. We produce work in 2D, in 3D, and also visual effects. And we also have a training facility that trains the new generation into the animation ecosystem.
So, Francis, for you, as an animation studio, are there specific opportunities for gaming studios or for independent developers to work with a studio like yours?
Yes, there is actually. If you look at the gaming side of things, there's always the back end and the front end. And I always say that a good game doesn't go without great animation or great graphics. So all the sprites that is being created for the assets in the games, mainly or mostly created by creative concept artists, illustrators, which you can always find in the pre-production department of animation, and also production department of animation too, where you get your characters moving, making the actions that's running, walking, jumping. If it's a fighting game, you find them having fighting sequences, and all of these things are done by animators. So the cross-section is very much seamless.
I think I was thinking about the way that the overlap, I think, between what you would need to create a game versus to create a cartoon or an animation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, for both of you, what was the decision, I think, to tell your story via animation versus a comic book or a game? How do you decide that this was the right way to tell that story?
So for me, animation was my first love. I was going to say, that would make video games like my mistress, but that's just a terrible thing to say. So I guess I already said that. But on a more serious note, I'm a gamer at heart. Literally, my PS5 is like 5 feet away from me. I also have an Xbox Series X as well too. I have a PC gaming machine. So I'm a full-on blown gamer to the core. I've been playing games since I was 4 years old. But yes, for me, like I said, animation was really the first thing that exploded my brain when it comes to in terms of just imagination and what could be possible. It's funny you mentioned comic books, because when I came to the US, obviously trying to get an animated series done is very labor intensive. It's very expensive, and it requires a lot of not just investment and time and the right connection. So for me, I take a step back and tell my stories through comic books and graphic novels. That was sort of like the thing that actually even allowed me to break into the entertainment scene, was comic books. And then from there, I got a deal with Dark Horse Studio Comics. And then with that recognition, I was able to break into the animation industry as well. I'm hoping that gaming is the next thing that comes naturally. But for me, if it was up to me, I would be working on all these mediums simultaneously: animation, graphic novels, and gaming. It's not an either or this one first or that one first. It's really about the opportunities that present themselves in a way where you can take advantage of them as well too. So yeah, for me, the opportunity and the need and the drive to be in all these mediums is very, very active. It's just about waiting for the right opportunities to take advantage of.
I mean, Roy has said it all. Just like myself, too, animation comes first because that's my field of specialization. But then when it comes to making a decision on why I would choose to make a certain IP in animation or a game first, it all depends on the story that's behind it. I mean, if I'm looking at the story and its target audience, then we look at the demographics and see if they love games first. You give them on the backs of the success of that particular product, then one can decide to make it into an animation or make it into a game. So it's mostly about the story and those that we are targeting, and we see how we can cross it over.
I am. It's interesting. You had mentioned where the kind of, I guess, the uphill battle of trying to get your project greenlit from investors to everyone that would help to push it forward. So I'm curious what that conversation was, or just how it was received when you decide I want to be an animator, I'm going to create something, or I want to be a game developer. Because I think from what I understand at least, the way that gaming is seen in society or in culture in the continent is it just seems like it would be more of an uphill battle, I think. So I'm just curious of what that conversation was like when you told your parents, I want to be an animator.
Yeah, I mean, I think Francis will be able to relate to this when we say African parents. When you when you talk to them about what you want to be, it's especially Nigerians, lawyer, doctor, engineer, architect, that's the big four in terms of here's what you're going to do. But personally, my own personal story, I was very lucky. Even though my parents wanted me to go to a traditional college, they always encouraged the creative side. And I think it's important for, parents, not just in Africa, all over the world, to be able to support, if you have a child that's creative, it's okay to want to give them security in terms of there's this stigma of the starving artist, right? So, a lot of people outside the industry see a lot of that, and it's not something that's it's just it's not like there's no proof that it's hard to make money in the creative industry. There is that, but there are different ways now with technology and social media where even if you're not doing it as your primary way of sustenance or income, there's ways that you can have a regular job and then also work on your dreams at nights and on weekends, and find a way to, and that's what I did personally. For me was I didn't go into the industry, whether it was comic books or animation, as a way to say, okay, this is going to be my full-time job. I was working a full-time job. I was diligent at that, giving my best in my 9 to 5. And then when I had my time, I was working on my comic books and being a writer, being a producer, and preparing myself for the opportunity that eventually came when I was exposed to a Dark Horse Comics, and then exposed to Lion Forge, and then Cartoon Network, and some of these other entities. So, I always try to use this opportunity because I know what it's like to be on the other side of the interview, struggling and feeling when is it going to be my time? I always encourage people, you have to have patience, you have to be persistent, and try and find the right group of people to surround yourself with that can consistently encourage you. Because I always feel like life will give you one opportunity. And the worst thing that you want to do is not be prepared to take advantage of that opportunity. So that's what worked for me. So I hope it works for other people as well.
For sure. Francis, did you have a similar experience?
Not so much so, because I grew up with my grandmother, and I was naturally born an artist, so it was very easy for her to guide me through the process. So she was buying me a lot of drawing books and color pencils, watercolors, and all that, and encouraged me to draw or make an artwork each and every given day. And as I was growing, she realized in my drawings that I had strong poses in my sketches. So she's like, your sketches always look like they're moving. That the thing that you watch a lot, that's Cartoon Network. As at the time, I grew up on Cartoon Network. You can create some of those things in future. I said, what's that? It's animation. So going to school, I went to high school doing visual arts. And when I got to tertiary, I went to film school to specialize in animation production. So I think mine was almost cut out for me. There wasn't any pressure on me at home because my grandmother got it, and she pushed me to be here.
I'm curious to I live in the Netherlands, so I haven't been able to watch Ianu yet, but I think you said in June it should be more available in Europe and
yes,
countries in Africa. So, but
yes.
I'm curious the way you would the way that you're thinking about expanding the story. I know the series just came out, but when you think about expanding the story to the next format, what does, especially for gaming, like what would the shift be, if there is one, in how you tell the story? Would it be more, still focus on like Yano as a person, or more of the other characters, or a continuation of that story?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think one of the great things about Yano as a story, right? It's familiar, but at the same time, it's different, right? So it's for those that don't know, Yano is a story where a young teenage girl in Yoruba land, she discovers that she has powers that rival the gods of the land, and it's only these powers that can save everybody in the world from what we call the corrupt, which are essentially animals that have gone berserk, or they have just one purpose, which is to destroy humanity. But where the story sort of like gets intense is that when Yano gets his powers, she isn't heralded as a savior. She's actually ostracized from society because people fear what they don't understand. So then Yano has to go on this journey of discovery about where my powers come from and what is the purpose of this. And she has to make a very big decision at some point, whether to use her powers to continue to sort of elevate herself, or she can use it to save people, including people that don't necessarily like her, or people that don't even want the best for her. And for us, I think one of the things that's very engaging about the storytelling is, at least we look at what a true hero should be, is that it's not just about saving the people that like you or look like you, or understand, think the way you think. I think the mark of a true hero is saving everyone, including the people that don't necessarily agree with you. But where I was going was that it's a very familiar story, right? Because it's a hero's journey. The girl gets powers, and she goes on this mission to discover the powers, and then obviously she meets up with a group of friends, and they encourage her to sort of get to the end point. I feel like that naturally lends itself for a video game, because most action adventure video games have sort of like that same trajectory, as well. So I think for us, the exciting thing about the story Yano is that it lends itself to so many different branches of things that can come out of the animated series, and gaming is obviously one of the very big things that we're hoping that when this story is a success in the animated realm, it's an easy way to transition to gaming, whether that be console or mobile or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I don't think there will be a lot that will change in the story, because like I said, the story itself is a great fit for an action adventure video game, and that's something that we're hoping we get an opportunity to do in the future.
Francis, I know you dropped for a second, but we were just thinking about how you decide how your story evolves into gaming. So what Jabari would look like as a game, and how you decide, is it where to start with from mobile or console, and how you continue to keep your community engaged through that.
Right. So I heard a bit of what Roy said, and I really strongly agree with him on that. The hero's journey when it comes to the story. With Jabari, for instance, if you've watched the short film, you realize that he's a young boy who is born into this royal home, and his parents are killed by the guy who wants to rule the kingdom. And now he's sent into some place where he has to now go undercover, grow up to know who he is, and now chase his destiny. So just by this journey or trajectory, it's easier to pick it and build it into different layers or stages for a game where he's just chasing for his destiny. Like, for example, Super Mario. His wife or girlfriend has been captured, and he needs to go through this journey to free her and to be together. So some of the times, or most of the times, it's really much about the storylines and how it's layered. If I believe stories that are very linear, very narrow, doesn't do so well with games. Same as even comics. Maybe with comics or graphic novel, where you can make a one-off issue, then you're done. So in the case of the other way around, where we created this graphic novel that's Moon Girls. We created about 18 chapters of those. I don't know if Roy, you've heard of it before. Moon Girls. He won the Noma Award in the year 2021 for Best Graphic Novel. And with the years that we've been producing this, it has gathered a massive following and also community around this IP. And we are thinking, okay, what is the next stage for it? But when we look at the number of stories that we've created and also the database that we have, what makes sense will be for us to either turn it into an animation film or a series. So that is the route that we are moving now, where we are developing it into a feature-length film. And then maybe after that, once the film lends itself to a very deep gaming community, we can now turn it into games as well.
The way that you, like, if we're having games that, like, if you start as a game and that, like, it becomes, you're like, let's make it into a book and let's make it into a movie and a comic book and all these other, like, iterations, and kind of just doing it, as you're saying, like, doing it just to do it versus, like, what the community actually wants, or, you know, what resonates. And I feel like there's a lot of, like, games to TV or TV turned games that may or may not have done it as well as could be. As I feel like if you look at, like, Game of Thrones, for example, like, they made several, I feel like, mobile games that were not that great, or maybe you know, the like Last of Us and Fallout that were games and turned into great series. So I'm curious if you feel like there's, like, any sort of, like, secret sauce, or almost, as to how you iterate in the new format in a way that's going to actually resonate with people and not just, you know, become, you know, something that falls by the wayside, but something that people actually, you know, want and love.
I mean, that's a very good question. I think, you know, entertainment is a very, very, you know, funny industry, right? Sometimes you just never know, right? You know, something may feel right to you, and, you know, internally you work with your team and everything is, like, fantastic. And then you release it and everybody hates it. And then there are things that you do and I'm like, should I even put this out there? Is anybody going to even pay attention to this? And then all of a sudden, like, everybody's like, wow, how did you? So it's, you know, obviously there are tenets in, you know, storytelling where it's like, you don't necessarily want to break certain rules because your stuff is not going to be right. So obviously I'm not saying just do whatever. But I think you just have to be true to yourself. Right, you have to figure out what's important to you as a storyteller. Because I think, again, whether it's a book, it's a film, it's a series, it's a game, I always think it comes back to story. It comes back to the emotional arcs of your characters, like why they're doing what they're doing, why it's important to them, and how your audience can relate to these characters. Like, this is the fundamental thing I feel that serves what we call, you know, story. That's what keeps people coming back. So I think you do what you feel like is right to you, and you do it as best. You do it to the best ability that you can. And I think for me, once I've done my best and I've honored the work, everything else, you know, at least I try not to let anything else matter. Because when I put something out there, I don't think, man, I should have worked harder, or I should have, you know, given this more attention. I've done all of that already. So I think you have to stay true to yourself, what inspires you, what motivates you, what gets you up, like type of stories you want to see in the world, and be very true to that, honor that, and just put it out there. And again, like I said, you never know. It's up to the audience now to decide whether or not they want to see more of it, or, you know, and sometimes you have to take an L, you have to take a loss, like, okay, this didn't work, and then you learn from it, and then you do better on your next one. But I don't think there's any secret sauce to creating a hit, otherwise all of us would be billionaires by now.
Very true. Very true. But, you know, sometimes the audience of fans are very tricky. As you said, they're funny. In the sense that sometimes you want to adapt a project or a product, say from a comic, and you want to drop it in a film, or you want to adapt it from a game and you want to drop it in a film format. and they will be expecting you to give them the same thing that they see in the comic book or the same thing that they experience in the game. And that format might not necessarily work for the screens. So you need to adapt it a little bit and tweak it for a fresh perspective. And you would find some fandom beating you down heavy, and you find some others who also appreciate the new twist that you brought to the project. So it's egg and chicken kind of situation, and it always gives us, the producers or the creators, the pump or the edge to, you know, bring out something which is really cool. And as she said, if you do it and you feel good about it yourself and you feel very proud, I believe there are people who also eat it up just the way it is.
We're coming up on time, and we want to get back to the live conversation. So before we sign off, for people who are just learning about your studios and your shows, where do they find everything and be able to keep in touch with you?
You can find everything about me and my studio at Unique Studios on Instagram, Twitter, X. This name's sometimes I don't know what to call this thing. TikTok, and every social media at Unique Studios, YOUNWEK, and then the word studios. You can also go to uniquestudios.com as well. But yes, please, if you're in the US, you can check out Ianu, which airs on Cartoon Network at 9:30 a.m. EST on Saturdays, and then you can also stream it on Max. I think we have, at this time of this recording, we have 9 episodes, so we're almost at the season finale in the US. And then if you're on the African continent, June 13th, you're going to get all the episodes on Showmax. So please sign up and support this great project. And if you're in the UK, like I said, ITVX sometime in this summer as well. So yeah, you can definitely check out Ian.
Awesome. And I've been a great fan of Unique for some years now, or maybe from day one. So, yeah. So you can also check us out on Animax FYB Studios at Animax FYB Studios, Facebook, IG, TikTok, X, and also www.animaxfybstudios.com. You can read about us, find some of our works that we've released, short films. And if you want something extensive, you can go on Amazon Prime. We have a 70-minute content block there, which is called Mofra, and it's for kids, preschoolers. Or go to YouTube and you can find some of the free stuff that we've uploaded.
Thank you both for your time and for joining us for our second World Africa Day of Play.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome back. What a really interesting conversation, specifically for me, because I know Ianu, I did some work with them to promote the series. It was really fun to learn about the series and get excited for it when it came out. But yeah, beautiful panel, and it's great to see them breaking barriers. Jane, what do you think? How would your life be different if you watched these kind of cartoons in childhood, or did you watch these cartoons in childhood?
So I unfortunately I haven't watched Ianu yet, but it's definitely in my watch list. But I did watch Iwaju, and this is probably one of my favorite cartoons now, I have to say. But if I had watched these as a child, I really think it would have been a game changer for me, because I used to watch a lot of cartoons and superhero movies when I was a child. So I really thought I could one day have magical powers. And yeah, it would have just been so cool to have African references, since I grew up in Africa, And the thing is that I live in France, and I also grew up in France, and a lot of people know this one cartoon, which is called Kirikou. It's this naked black baby who came out of his mother's womb by himself. Wow. Definitely an incredible story. Yeah, a lot of the French people know that one. So yeah, it's a big reference here, but it's definitely not the best, because it was made by French people and not Africans, and it really shows because it has a lot of stereotypes. And yeah, sadly, this is one of the very few mainstream cartoons representing Africa. So having Iyanu, or like Iwaju really changes things for me and for my nieces and nephews, because I have children around me and I really want them to grow up with that kind of representation.
Yeah, I think I had seen Kyoku. It was like, I don't know why the colors red and orange, like sunset, is coming to me, if I'm remembering it correctly. But maybe I had seen it. But I didn't know that was made by French people and not essentially West Africans. I wasn't sure, so I wasn't aware of that. I think for me, like growing up in the UK, we got, well, the representation that we got for us was kind of far and few between. We did get a lot of American TV, which I'm grateful for, because we got a lot of Black American TV, and a lot of the representation that you saw on TV when you were growing up in the UK, for the most part, was like Black American, because of obviously the language that we both speak. And it was good, because I think it's really important for everyone to kind of learn about Black experiences from different places, regardless of where you're from. So I'm super grateful for that. But I think I also, like, if I had cartoons like Iwaju and Iyanu, and I think for specifically speaking as a diasporan, I think having those growing up would have perhaps circumvented a lot of perhaps internal anti-Blackness that some people would grow up with in the diaspora. And this is a very real thing, and I think having that representation and having that pride from a very young age would have changed a lot of people's trajectory with how they relate to themselves and their culture and their heritage. But I think for the kids today, they're going to be all right. They've got something. They're going to be good.
People are working, thankfully.
The other thing that was in the panel was that they were talking about going from animation and translating that into the gaming industry and the gaming market. And Iwaju has a game. Did you know that they have a mobile game called Rising Chef?
Yes, absolutely. Because ever since I watched the show, I've been a huge fan, because Iwaju is one of these very rare West African representation that exist, to be honest. Like, I haven't seen it in cartoons, I haven't seen it really in movies either. And so when I watched it, the whole show last year on Disney Plus, it really felt like a revelation to me, and it really felt like the first time actually seeing something that I know so well. And that's how you can tell that this is authentic, because I know that Disney has been collaborating with this Kenyan animating studio, and they've done a fantastic job. Yeah, exactly, Gali. They are so good at it, and authenticity really just shows when it's done by the people who are making the thing. So I can only continue encouraging us to just start telling our own stories.
And seeing like Iwaju's trajectory with the mobile game, because when I sat down and I played that game, I was playing for hours. I was addicted. Like, I was making a dodo, I was making everything, and I was like, let's go. And I really cannot wait for that to happen to Iyanu, because Iyanu does have that scope to also be this really great adventure action adventure game, and I would love that for the next generation. I'd love that for myself. I'm a grown woman and I still want it.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm super excited about that. And if you didn't know, in chat, you can catch up on Iyanu on Max. There's a marathon on June 1st, which is next Sunday, on Cartoon Network. Maybe we should have like a marathon watch in a Discord. Maybe we should do something like that.
Oh yeah, I will definitely link up. Let's get to it. Let's do it.
All right. But speaking of animation, for anime lovers at home, today's the last day that you can get a 30-day Crunchyroll trial for free by subscribing twice or purchasing 2 subscriptions to our channel. Also, like, there's a lot of stuff coming up as well. So I know Jane's got something to tell you about some keys.
Yes, talking about keys. So again, Kiro Games is still giving away some keys for both Steam and Xbox for the very game Orient Legacy. You're going to watch it right after this. So if you want to participate in this giveaway for Orient Legacy of the Carryodan on Steam and Xbox, and also get a key for Fair Factor Toss Down game, struggling. This game is going to be released on Steam. So if you want to take part in this, you just have to type in exclamation point giveaway in the chat, and we'll let you know who won right after the next showcase that we're going to watch. Okay, so just type in exclamation point giveaway. Okay, so it's actually time for us to watch the next showcase. This is going to be with game studios that we've already mentioned. We mentioned Fair Factor, who is from Nigeria. We've got Kiro Games from Cameroon, Weza Interactive from Kenya, and also Letty Arts from Ghana. Let's watch it, guys.
you still believe in the common good in the face of greed? Will you remain united in the face of despair? When overwhelmed by the cruelty of this world, when the struggle becomes too hard, which ideal will you uphold? I eagerly await your answers. Show us what it means to be called.
Yay!
Hey.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. So shout out to everyone who entered the giveaway. We're going to talk about a couple of the games and also announce the winners. First of all, before we get into these winners, what did you think about that showcase, Jane? Like, who caught your eye?
I mean, please, have you seen Risiki? I
I
need that game right now in my life. I need it now, okay? And please don't start calling it the African Just Dance. This is just Riziki, please. Like, we are going to enjoy it so much. I just love that stuff because obviously we don't get to see that many African music in dancing games like Just Dance or Dancing Central, whatever it's called. And yeah, it's good that we get to have our own game with like African music. I love that. Also Sweeve, I enjoyed that one too.
I have a point to make about this, right? Because I was a Just Dance girly. I also had the Michael Jackson dance experience, if anyone knows about that game back in the day.
Of course.
That was my game. And obviously, because it was definitely Black culture, specifically Black American culture, but it was definitely Black culture. I find that in some of the Just Dance games and some of these dance games, they be having Black dances, but not Black people. Some of them dances and things are not portrayed by, like, when you can see who it is. Only when you can see who it is. I think it was Dance Central, and there was like a dance hall song or whatever, and none of the characters were Black, and I'm just like, oh, so you...
Oh, please. I mean, first off, they need to start making their dancers Black. Like, I'm talking about Just Dance, where they do have some of the maps, you know, when they are specifically Black people singing the song, they make them Black, but the rest of them is like, please, like...
Yeah,
we can have another discussion about that.
100%. It could go on for ages, but I think like Riziki definitely brings that breath of fresh air for me personally. That, you know, just a little shoulder move, and nothing wrong with just a little shoulder, and then
just like that.
Yeah, hey, that's it. And then the next one was Toss Down for me. Toss Down seemed like it's explosive. It seemed fast paced. It seems like it's going to be an addictive game, which maybe shouldn't be a great thing that I should say out loud, but you know what I mean. So yeah, Toss Down is definitely interesting to me.
Yeah, I played it yesterday. I got a key for the game. Thank you again for that, by the way. And yeah, it can definitely be super addictive, and it's really interesting. Like the way you just, you know, it's like a speed game, so you need to you need to think fast. You need to. And I love that it doesn't have to be a cultural game. Just because it's African doesn't make it necessarily, it doesn't have to like bring in the culture, you know what I'm saying? And I love that we also just make games because they're fun, right?
Right.
And yeah, Toss Down is definitely one game to play. And Sweeve from Letty Arts from Ghana also caught my attention. I loved the animation. And I also like mobile games where you just get to like play these colorful games, these puzzle games. I really like that too.
Yeah. Sweeve. I think Sweeve was also featured in our last year, and it's great to see like how their promotional, the stuff has changed as well. So we're staying on the journey with Letty Arts. They're putting out some great stuff. But let's talk about these winners. Let's announce these winners. So congratulations to Vampy Monster, who's won the Steam key for Orient Legacy. Troubleman72, who's won the Xbox key for Orient Legacy. Shays P27, who's won the Toss Down key for the demo, and Metal Lamia, who's won the Black Girl Gamers mug. Congrats. Welcome.
Congrats, everyone.
Thank you for watching. And we have another panel, so I'm gonna let Jane introduce that.
Yes, so just like we did for Afro gamers and also for Black Girl gamers, you know, communities are definitely changing the game in Africa as well. So we're going to move to the very next panel, which is about growing the African gaming community, with Marie-Pierre from Game Hub Senegal, and also Linger Gaming, which is a non-profit that she created for full African women, Senegalese women. We also have Fred Munga from Gabe Tribe, and for the moderation of the panel, Black Girl Gamer media consultant, Asia. I was going to pronounce that wrong. So the name is Asia. So make sure to watch that and let us know what you think of it right after. Let's get into it.
Hi, and welcome to World Africa Day of Play. We're so excited. We have here Fred, Munga, and Marie, the CEO of Ashita, and Fred Munga is here for Game Tribe. I'm also so excited to introduce Black Girl Gamers as an organization that is dedicated to increasing equity in the gaming space for women and femme-presenting people. And we are going to be talking about growing the African gaming community. Hello. Who would like to go first and introduce themselves?
Hello, I think I'll go first. Yes, so as I've been introduced by Asia, Munga Frederick. I'm the founder of Game Tribe, a community of developers and also players. And also we, as Game Tribe, the main goal of the community is to help developers publish their games. So we do community-driven game publishing.
Hello everyone, I'm Marie Pierre Cham. I'm from Senegal. I'm a game designer, educator, and co-founder of Ashita ECC, a platform that makes creative and tech education like game development, animation, digital art more accessible to young people across Senegal. On the top of that, I'm the founder of Linguère Gaming, which is a community and association in West Africa dedicated to women in gaming. Our goal is to create safe space, empowering space for women to express themselves through games, whether as a player or as a developer, and to amplify female voice in the industry. I'm also working with my husband with Ashita Gaming Studio, where we create our own game, video games, and also we're doing streaming on the game like that we really do. Yeah. Basically, yeah, that's who I am.
Yay! I love that. I also love that you have been streaming, and we'll probably have a little aside about that later. But tell us more about the kind of communities that you fostered. Like, what have you seen? Where did it start? Where did it come from? Where was the need that you saw? And what inspired you maybe to say, like, I can step in and fill this gap?
Well, I founded Linguère Gaming during COVID-19 because we realized that we have a lot of time to play video games, and that was kind of hard for us as a woman to play with men. So that was it was like they didn't want us to join them in the games. And then after that, with some friends, we were like, let's create something to have more women involved. And then when we did the launch, we were like, we're not going to have many girls. But guess what? We have 60 girls that came to join us. And that was really amazing to discover that those young girls were passionate about gaming, but they didn't want to show themselves or talk about it. Yeah. That's basically how we created Linguère Gaming. And I've been working in Game Hub Senegal, where we training young people on development, game design, and everything, and to help them to be able to make their own video games, and to be able to do the monetization and the distribution of those games.
Awesome. And same question for you, Munga.
Yeah, so Game Tribe community was actually inspired by Indie Games Group. Because up until last month, I've been the lead for Indie Games Group, which is a program by Google Play to help game developers get access to, basically put developers together so that they can get access to opportunities, that is in terms of funding or share skills, and basically also get partners in the community. But up until last month, Google had to stop that program in Kenya, and we thought it wise to, instead of killing the community, we could start something that still upholds the same, I would say, goal. And that's how Game Tribe came to be. Because at first we were working as a publishing company, and then we thought, why not just make this community? And it's been working really well right now.
Yeah, and what's been like maybe something that you didn't expect that has been really fun, or maybe a really fun outcome of fostering that community?
For me, it's the collaboration between communities, because from the word community itself is we want to bring people together. And apart from them just talking about their games, we're seeing different developers working together to come up with different games. So you find that someone has been posting art in the community, and then their art, a developer likes their art, and then they come together to create a game. So you find that the different individuals are leveraging their skills, bringing together the different skills to create this one fun product.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Have you collaborated with anybody personally in there? Like anything that you're really proud of or excited about?
Yes, there's a game called Infinite that we're creating at the moment, and most of the developers and sound designers we are working with. So apart from Game Tribe, I also own a game studio, and most of the people that I work with are actually from the studio, from the community. And also one of our game that we've already published called Blastic. The game art is mostly created by artists who are in the community. And there's something that we're also doing as Game Tribe to encourage more collaboration. We encourage studios. So if studios are lacking in terms of skill, for instance, in our studio, we lack game artists. I think this is a universal problem, especially technical game artists. So we have a contest section for our website, gametribe.com, where we look for studio looking, for instance, if they're looking for, let's say, a banner for Play Store, we'll create a contest around that and engage the community to create that banner, so that the community members also get an opportunity to help basically build the industry.
How do your respective communities support development for its local members? Obviously, we heard from Munga, there's some contests, some incentives really to create, or is there anything like that in your community, or anything that you've done to collaborate or to foster that collaboration?
Well, I mean, 2 years ago, we didn't have like anything like that. But with the creation of the Game Hub Senegal, we realized that like people start working together. What we were doing firstly, that was organizing game jams to be able to have the community together. And after organizing those game jams, we realized that we have like many people making video games alone, and since then they start talking, like helping each other. But in a governmental part, we don't have like anything about video games, like helping on video games.
Oh, I see. So what's a game jam?
A game jam is like an event where we say like we have 72 hours to make a video game on like a topic, and we organize those kind of stuff. We give a topic, we have like 74 hours, and the people are together during those hours, and they are working together to be able at the end to have at least a prototype of the games. Yeah. And after organizing those kind of stuff, we realized that that's a good way to put the community together and to make them help each other.
So what kinds of collaborations should we be looking to create across languages, regions, and cultures to bring the gaming and development community together? And I know you focus more on development, but what things have you seen that have really helped foster those communities besides like the game jam?
Well, we have like some activities, some events like the Africa Games Week, where like all the developers, the game studio across Africa can gather to be together and to be able to have like some panels to talk about how we can improve the gaming industry in Africa. And also during those events, you can meet another studio, and then you can like have co-production with that studio. So that's some kind of events that really foster the communication and also the collaboration among the game developer. We also have like some initiative like the Pan-African Gaming Group, where we have like many studios in Africa that are working together to be able to improve the game development in Africa, and they're doing co-production. And we realize when like one studio from Senegal and one studio from Kenya have like co-production, they are like making really good video games, because for sometimes in Senegal we have like really good developers, and then in another country we have really good artists, and if they work together they come up with something really amazing. Yeah, that's those kind of things that really can help the community to grow together, because we need that in Africa. Yeah.
Absolutely. Are there any projects that just stood out to you? One that you think about like to this day, you were just like so moved or touched by it?
Yeah, that's basically those kind of events organized. And sometime like last year, I had the chance to participate to the Gamescom at Cologne, and there we have like an Africa corner, where we have like many people from Africa that came to Cologne to be able to show their video games. We also have gamers from Africa, and that was really great to go in this kind of activity to see what the world is doing. And when we go back home, we need to do better things, and those kind of things are really, really, really great to motivate the developers, the young developers in Africa. Yeah.
Oh, so the events are really motivational, right? They give you a lot of fuel to keep doing what you're doing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, because World Africa Day exists to promote unity and celebration among the African nations. So like, is there a Pan-African approach to connecting those two things, promoting unity and celebration, besides developing? Is there anything cultural? Do you feel like more drawn to these kinds of events versus other international things? Like, what is your feeling about it?
Yeah, like I realized that when I started making video games, we didn't have all those kind of stuff. But now I realized that we have like more events on that. We have like more activity. We have like more things coming together, and that's a great thing. That's a great thing. We realize that people in Africa now start understanding the importance of video games and how that can grow the economy of a country, how that can showcase the culture of a country. And in some countries, the government start doing like things on that field, and yeah, that's something great.
Yeah. What countries have started that you know of? Like what?
I saw somewhere in Morocco, the government start like being interested in video games, game development, yeah, and that's something really great. And I hope in Senegal, maybe in some years, they will start on that.
Yeah, we'll send them this interview and go, hey, maybe you should do some stuff, you know. That's totally fine. But when you said when you first got into gaming, there weren't these kinds of events. So how did you find community when you first started?
I didn't have like a community, maybe online on Discord, the game studio in like other countries. You can see what they are doing, following what they are doing. But I was just motivated with my passion. Only the passion. I didn't have like anyone to talk with on the game development. And then I started in a game studio in Senegal, where I was like project manager, because I didn't have any knowledge on game designer. And after, my idea first was to be a game designer, but I was like, as I don't have like any knowledge on that, I will start with being a project manager. And then after I started learning by myself, knowing that in Senegal we don't have training on that field. So if you want to learn on game development or game design, you need to learn it by yourself. And that's what I did. And then I started doing game design.
Do you feel like you foster that kind of like pathway, or maybe you pass on that knowledge with Game Hub and with Linga?
Yeah, I was like doing training on game design with the young people that wanted to learn about game design, and the fact that I'm a girl, and that helped a lot of girls that was passionate to start doing video games and all the stuff. Yeah, I can see myself as a role model. I didn't have a role model when I started, so now I want to be the role model of all those young girls that want to start in that field.
Absolutely. And how do we make sure that local community isn't excluded or hindered from the global growth of gaming? Obviously, you didn't have a role model, and now you're that for other people, but how do other people get started? How do they start in their countries and make sure that these resources are available for younger and younger friends?
Yeah, that's kind of hard for the local communities, because in Senegal, everything is happening in the capital, in Dakar. So what we did is we were doing the training when I was working in Game Hub Senegal, in one place where people can come and take the training. So that's when, with a group of friends, we start thinking about how to open the training. And then that's where when we create the Ashita ICC, where we give training online on game development, 3D modeling, 3D animation, 2D animation, etc. Everything that is related to cultural and creative industry. And the idea behind is to be able to go to the regions to show the people how they do the training and to involve them. Having like a group chat, a WhatsApp group chat, so that everyone in Senegal can join, and if they need to ask a question or things like that, if they need help, they can have those kind of help. Yeah.
And online seems like the best way to start to get connected in those ways. And how do like communities like yours and Black Girl Gamers and other Western-based communities work together? Obviously, online is the connection point, but what maybe do you need to understand? What do you need to seek out? What kind of things do you need to adjust to?
Yeah, we realized that when the first time we organize an event with Linga Gaming, like we have many people registered, but at the end of the day, we only have like 5 or 10 people showing up. That's when we start thinking of how we can like have many people coming to the meetings and all that stuff. And we start making video. Every time I organize an event, I want to make a video saying, hi, I'm Mary, I'm organizing this event and I want to see you there. I think it's something cultural. They need to see you. They need to know you to be able to come. And we have some young people, their mother are like, it's not really sure to let our kid go to the events because we didn't know anyone there, and gaming is something like with men's and all that stuff. So every time I receiving call from the mother, hi, how are you? So my young girl want to come to the events, want to do this and this, and I want to make sure that that's something like great, that's something sure. And I'm always like, okay, I will be there and everything will be all right. You know, it's like something cultural. We need to make video. We need to be in contact with the people if you want them to really join, because some people are afraid to really like join. Yeah,
absolutely. So how can people get connected with you?
Well, we
Game
have
Hub Senegal.
For Game Hub Senegal, they have their website. I'm not working there anymore because I was like, I really need to start making my own video game now. So I've been working with some companies, and now I need to make my own video game. But they have their website, Game Hub Senegal, where like if people want to know about game development in Senegal, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, we have a report there. They can download it to be able to understand what kind of device people are using and things like that. That can be really helpful for the people that want to start making video games. And also they are doing like many events to gather the community. GameHubSenegal.com. You can see everything on that. And for Ashita ICC, we have ashita.icc.com, where we can you can see our website, the training that we have there. Yeah. And for the girl community, that's Linger Gaming on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and yeah, we posting the events and yeah, talks, things like that. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with people about growing the development community in Africa? Is there anything that you are just like so passionate about? Because I think culture is a really great point for anything, right? Culturally, it's important. But is there anything else that you want to share that makes you happy or brings you a lot of peace about the community and the growing there?
Yeah. Maybe the fact that when we starting growing the community, that was really hard for us. And then we realized that if we want to grow the community, we need to understand the mindset of the people there. Because game development is something that our people don't really know. They don't know how it is important on an economic part or on a cultural part. And we need to, we need to show them what is it. To show it to the parents, to show it to the government, to show them that that's something that you need to take account. And that's something that is like creating a lot of money. So that's the first thing to do. If you want people to listen to you, you need to show them. And for doing that, you need to do a lot of research. You need to try to understand how people are thinking and then starting like having the community together. That's something really important. We're starting by organizing an events and we didn't have like 3 or 2 people. We were like, what's happening? And after that, we were like, now we need to think to be able to know how we can put the people together. And now we have many people interested and people are joining the events. Yeah.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you are here and got to chat with us. This was Marie from Ashita.
Yeah.
I love saying that. Yeah, I'm talking to CEO of Ashita. Yeah. I love that so much. Be sure to follow Marie. How can people get connected with you?
I'm on LinkedIn. If you type Marie-Pierre Cham on LinkedIn, you can show me. You can send me message. I answer people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and we will chat with you soon.
Thank you.
And welcome back, everybody. What did you think of this talk? I thought it was super duper interesting. I think Marie-Pierre is a wonderful human being. She's a self-made woman. She is so brilliant, and I cannot wait to see what she's going to come up with. Obviously, there was maybe some drops at some point because of connectivity issues, but again, that's just the realities of what game dev is like in Africa. What did you think, Jan, of the talk?
Yeah, I think there were some really great points made. One of the things that I kind of pinged onto is the fact that there's a need for game and technical artists currently in the continent, and there's that people that can be reaching back. So even yesterday when we had the World Africa Day of Play Lincoln Level Up virtual mixer, I met a woman who wants to do more graphic design and wants to do more artwork for gaming, and I was like, come to the showcase because I'm sure someone said it, and then someone obviously has said it, and there's just that opportunity there that is happening and that needs to kind of close the loop. Essentially, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to close the loop. So if you do come to World Africa Day of Play, don't just come to today's showcase, always come to the mixer. You never know what opportunities you're going to find. And the other thing that Marie mentioned was that the exclusion that she initially felt when she was trying to get into the space because she's a woman. And I think, one, we know it still exists in gaming, and two, it's a shame that it still exists in gaming. But it's inspiring to see her create something that had 60 girls coming to her event just by putting a quick call out here. And I think one thing I think we should take home is that it's important for us as we build community as Africans and diasporans to not reinforce the same isms and schisms that we see in the West into the African gaming community. I think it's very important as this market grows that we should learn to do things differently and correct the mistakes that we find in the West. So those are some of the main points that kind of really struck a chord with me at the time.
Yeah. No, I 100%. I completely align with that. I think the panel just shows that the lack of representation is definitely a worldwide issue, you know, especially for Black women, and that's why both of them really felt the need to like step up their game, right? And maybe that's going to inspire you, chat, also to start building your community in your own country, wherever you are in the world, right? It's also, to me, it's also a hopeful panel because it's really reassuring to know that there are things happening. You know, there are events that are taking place. This reminds me of, you know, she mentioned the Africa Games Week in South Africa. There's also Lagos Games Week in Nigeria, Feja in Ivory Coast. There's actually an ongoing event called Awale Game Jam. If you want to know more about that, you can just hit me up. It's an ongoing game jam that's happening like next week, I think. And yeah, I also agree with the fact that, you know, we shouldn't like go to Africa and think that we'll get there and change everything, because Africans are already at work. You know, they've been working already, and so for me, I've tried to like do my part because I was part of the team that organized the Africa Corner last year at Gamescom, and these are the kind of push that, you know, a lot of people will need, right? They already have the talent, they just need, yeah, just that little help that can get them to the next level, right? They need the visibility, they need all of that, not necessarily the talent, because the talent is just there already. And I love to see that it's happening.
Yeah, heavy on that. Don't go there and think you're going to fix everything for people. That's a superior savior mindset. We need to get out of that. So don't go there thinking that you're the savior. Go there thinking you're a supporter. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But 100%.
Go there to actually add value. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But we do have another giveaway coming up right now. So we have a giveaway again for the keys that we mentioned earlier. We have the Orion Legacy key for Steam and Xbox, and also a toss down demo key for Steam, and a Black Girl Gamers mug. So whilst we head to our next showcase, make sure you do that exclamation mark giveaway so that you can enter this giveaway. It's our last showcase of the night, and it's a big one. We have over 13 studios featured in this showcase, such as eMedia Interactive, Juju Games, Afreem Studios, African Heroes, DNL Studios, Bow Up Games. I could go on. But we also have a good video from our very own Jane from Afro-Gamers as well. So let's take a look.
Yay.
Je m'appelle Jennifer et j'ai créé l'association Afro-Gameuse pour amplifier les voix des femmes noires et des personnes sous-représentées dans le secteur du jeu vidéo.
Nous voulons montrer que le jeu vidéo peut être un outil pour apprendre, s'ouvrir aux autres et développer la tolérance. Nous rassemblons les joueuses, les développeurs et les créatifs du milieu pour échanger, sensibiliser, s'inspirer et se soutenir. Nous voulons voir plus de jeux vidéo qui représentent notre diversité, qui permettent de s'identifier à des personnages et des histoires qui nous ressemblent et qui brisent les stéréotypes. Je rêve d'un monde où tous les joueurs et joueuses peuvent se sentir représentés et inclus en vivant des expériences incroyables, quelle que soit notre couleur de peau, notre genre ou notre handicap. Représenter la diversité, c'est donner à chacun la possibilité de se voir, de se reconnaître, de se projeter. Alors j'invite toutes celles et ceux qui partagent ma vision à nous rejoindre pour construire une société plus inclusive et plus juste, ensemble.
Hi everyone.
What you know about the frontier, child?
You think the great Uado tree is gonna bend to the IGPA? Me say no. The outer worlds are wild. These people are strong. They keep safe their culture. Them cling to heritage. Them fight for it. Them know the ancestors. And that knowledge gives them power. Yes, the frontier is simple and untamed. That's what makes it beautiful. Some think they can control this place, hold it in their hands. But child, that ain't how things go out here. You can't control the universe.
Restore balance to the kingdoms and repel the forces of evil. Explore mythical lands. Face ancestral creatures. Unlock spiritual powers through sacred masks. Customize your hero with outfits inspired by traditional African textiles. Collect cowries, trade them for weapons, blessings, and hidden secrets. Every choice you make will shape your legend. Every battle is a trial of honor. Will you be worthy of the legacy? The prophecy begins with you.
More savage. A monster in the shadows. Watching. Learning. Hunting.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a beefy showcase. We had over 13 studios in that showcase. We had, as I mentioned, like so many games. So Jane, before we announce these giveaway winners, tell me what you thought about that showcase.
Okay, first I have to give a shout out to my girl Appy, who is in the chat as well. It was so good seeing her breaking barriers. She's based in Ivory Coast, by the way, and doing so much work over there. So thank you so much, Appy, for being part of this. For me, so there were so many games that really stood out to me, but I know that Dion, it was the survival game, is available for playtest today. So you can still go on Steam, try and find Dion and try and play it like today. I think today's probably like the last day. But what I loved about the showcase is really the diversity. I mean, we've got, what did we get? Like superhero game? Maybe we're getting like the Wakanda game we've been waiting for this entire time because Black Panther is never being released. Like what? So yeah, I had that one. There was a real diversity in terms of genre. There was a platformer game, horror game, horror VR game, also so many different themes. I really love that.
Yeah, same. I think, like you said earlier in like the showcase, like we don't need to just make cultural games. And of course, we should make cultural games because we should also think of our culture as the default in general.
Yeah.
But we can also make games that are just agnostic and just about a random story or just about a random fantasy character. And that's also like just as brilliant. And I think for me, I love that showcase because it just shows, like you said, the variety that we have. The games that kind of took my interest or piqued my interest. Closer look, the VR. I don't have VR. Will I get it to try that game? Probably. Because I really want to try something like that. I'm also looking forward to the In-Between. It's a Metroidvania. I feel like my love has increased for Metroidvania since Tales of Kinzarazao. I'm intrigued to see Rise of Fatty. It's in development right now, so it's nowhere near playable at the moment. But just seeing her with the torch and just seeing her walk through and it giving horror vibes, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Is there zombies? Or like, what's gonna happen? I was really excited about that. And then the last one I wanted to kind of shout out was Monsters and Threats, which is in development by Green Quest, because they're an organization. It's a collective of Afrofuturistic storytellers, game creators, and impact-driven change makers. And they are creating Afrofuturistic games to raise awareness on climate change, inequality, and the challenges shaping African communities. And I thought that was just great.
That.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think one game that is also worth to mention, it's because it's something that I really haven't seen before. It was Prophecy. So this one is from a studio called African Heroes. It's a solo game dev. His name is Serge Abraham Traoré. And Tade, sorry, not Traoré. And he's based in Guinea. And Guinea is not a country you hear about so much also. So I just shout out to him because he has been working for a long time showing the process of the whole game development on LinkedIn. So make sure to follow him also on LinkedIn to see, if you're interested in the game and whatever else he's working on. He just talks about it over there. So please go and follow up on him.
Yeah. Speaking of, if you're interested in all of these games, you should hit game list, no S, GAMELIST, and you'll get the list of all the games that were featured in the showcase, just the name, the studio, where you can find them. So it's in that list. So just do game list, and a list will be shown, and you can just find all of the studios and games there if you missed anything or anything like that. Another reminder is also that if you're interested in keeping up with BG, do that newsletter, and we can send you the sign up form so we can add you. And also we have 10% off of all Black Girl Gamers merch today up through June 1st. So if you do merch in the chat, you can get you can get 10% off for Wet Up merch for 2025. Let's announce these giveaway winners, shall we? We have.
Yes.
Do you want to take it?
Sure. All right. So for the Orion's team game, the first winner is Akasha Heart. So congrats to you. Then for Orion on Xbox, we have Aoyuki Zero. Don't know if I pronounced it right, but you probably have recognized yourself. Congrats to you. Then we have Toss Down. For Toss Down, the winner is Support Black Business 1000P. out here in the chat. We see you. And for the winner of the mug, this person is going to be Skyroar Bella, I think. Skyroar Bella, something like that. Congrats to you. You guys are lucky because I want my mug too. I'm gonna fight for it.
Congratulations, everyone. Now it's time for our fourth and final panel of the day. And it's one of the things that we're speaking about, the core things we're speaking about, that we're here about, is bringing African games to life. There are over 300 studios and counting across the continent. And in recent years, countries like Nigeria, Egypt, Tunisia, South Africa have had significant growth in game revenue. A report from KPMG and Melio Games really shines a light on the industry changing potential. And our next panelists are full of that. We have speak to the brothers George Ehere, CEO of Wazer Interactive, and James Ehere, Chief Legal Officer and Business Development Lead of Wazer Interactive, as well as Tamara Shogolo, Emmy-winning and award-winning director, writer, artist, and creative technologist, and director of Ado Atto Pictures. So let's see what they have to say.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us at World Africa Day of Play. We're going to jump into our next panel. We're talking about bringing African games to life. And we're joined by George and James Ahere from Wazer Interactive, based in Kenya, and Tamara Shogalo from Ado Atto Pictures, based in Amsterdam, but also in bicoastal in the U.S. So for people who aren't familiar with your projects and your studios yet, would you introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your newest game?
Sure. My studio, Ado Atto Pictures, works at the intersection of storytelling, art, and technology. So we make games across different mediums and platforms like virtual reality and augmented reality. And we also do sort of like art installations and immersive experiences that have been at different museums globally. And most recently, our game Anushka was at South by Southwest, which is an indie augmented reality game powered by Niantic's Lightship.
So I'm Jojo Dongo-Ahere, and like you just introduced, I'm the game director and CEO of Wazer Interactive Entertainment. We are based in Kenya, but I am currently in Germany. We are just a group of people that really believe in the potential of the African gaming, seeing the African gaming industry, and it's really our goal to really activate that potential. We've been working, our core values are really to create, games that empower, educate, and entertain, and really create really authentic depictions of things we go through, our mythology, to our history, to our culture. And just really putting our creative industry on the map. And we're working on a new game called Riziki. It's a rhythm game. It's all about really experiencing African music. It's all about experiencing African dance culture. And we're looking to actually release it in early access towards the end of the year. So we're really excited for it, really excited for the project.
I'm excited to play for both of your games. And I know you guys, I think both have put the culture, like, I think very, very much into the game, and it's like, it seems to be like kind of the baseline, or just like a lot of the story is based around that. And I'm curious as how you want to just make sure that you're creating the game as, I think, as culturally authentic as it can be, or resonant as it can be, but also that it's interesting and entertaining for people who aren't familiar with the culture yet and want to learn.
I mean, for our game, I think it's grounded in many ways in sort of like ancestral knowledge. It's about a young girl named Anushka, who's of Surinamese and Indonesian descent, young black girl living in a neighborhood in Amsterdam. And her grandmother passes away, and basically you kind of have to travel with her to help her overcome her grief while also learning about her culture and heritage. And we wanted it to feel like a way of empowering children and feeling like connected to their ancestors, while also like promoting emotional intelligence and offering support in grieving and loss. So it's a really story-driven game, but it's definitely centered in it. and talks about different aspects of like food and music of the culture from the diaspora.
Our games are based on the Mzito universe. It's kind of like the Marvel universe. So most of our games are based on this. And Mzito basically means it's a Swahili word meaning like you're awesome at something or you're really good at something. So we have 5 masks that represent African culture, identity, and values. So these masks are what guide the Mzito. The Mzito is you and I, or the player. And so these 5 masks, as I said, represent the identity of Africa. We have the Shuja mask, it represents leadership and knowledge of self. And then we have Riziki, which is about alignment, one frequency, and unity. And so our first game was based on the Shuja mask, and it was an adventure game about going all over Africa to awaken the sleeping lion. Actually, the Shuja mask looks like a lion. So the sleeping lion is basically your inner potential and stuff like that. So you go through different touristic regions within Africa to awaken the sleeping lion and conquer the corruption, while at the same time learning about these touristic places within Africa, like the Giza pyramids, the Great Rift Valley, the Congo forests. And now once you're able to awaken the sleeping lion and conquer the corruption, we now proceed into the next game, which is about uniting Africa, because all the countries are separated and you need to unite them. And we chose to unite the continent through music, because no matter where you are in the world, if you're listening to any music, it doesn't matter if you even understand the language. As long as you resonate with the vibe, then you're going to enjoy it. So we chose to unite Africa through the music. And now for this second installment, it's called Riziki, and it's the converging of 2 words, rhythm and mziki, which is music in Swahili. So Riziki. And it's a celebration of African music and dance culture.
With both of your projects, and with Nushka, it's focused on like grief and being able to like work through that, and also with like culture, the music, and you guys also have a math or like educational game that you're working on as well. I'm curious that it has been being able to use, I think, that as a benefit or just a part of the story. Has that helped in in crowdfunding or investing or just getting people to value the game or see the value in it, to be able to support it in some way and like helping bring it to life? So I know that just the way that we look at or see gaming, especially locally, is they don't necessarily see it like as serious or as needed or anything. So I'm curious if that like had a positive effect at all in how you were able to present the game to others and help it bring it to life.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like I work, utilizing technology, and we've been really trying to figure out ways of designing tech that maybe isn't like driven by addictive design models, and trying to create like balanced relationships with technology, but also like sharing information. So for this project, we partnered with an organization called the Black Archives in the Netherlands. So they supported us with like research and archival information that we then wove into the game, and the role that music plays. And I don't know if you've seen the film Sinners, but I think that in the African diaspora, it's like music is a big part of how stories and culture are passed down from generation to generation. So we thought that it was like a great vehicle for time travel and to allow Anushka to skip between time periods and sort of be guided by the music throughout the different levels of the game. And in terms of like the reaction to it educational, I don't know, I think it's been challenging a little bit because it's a game that like exists at the intersection of things, and it's cinematic and has like a storytelling component to it. I was really inspired by sort of like cinematic storytelling games that I enjoy. But then there's also, an academic aspect or educational perspective. And now what we've been trying to do is sort of start talking to public libraries in Europe and and in the US and in other parts of the world as well. We'd love to bring the game to Africa. We recently showed it in Tunisia, and are trying to find ways of like getting it out there as much as possible, and exploring partnership with libraries. But we haven't, I don't know if it's helped us in that way, but we're definitely trying to connect with communities that are interested in those subjects.
Yes, I've been to the Black Archives. It was great that you guys were able to work with them and bringing them together. I was going to ask too about just like community feedback and like how you've been able to like incorporate what people have thought so far, like, you know, people who are like historians or you know, leaders in that space, and have more of that background to be able to input into it. So I was glad that you were able to work with them on it.
When it comes to, I'd say, crowdfunding, just funding, grants and everything, we have been putting a lot of focus on really polishing the way we access funds, because especially for the creative industry, a lot of our funding comes from, I'd say, primarily Europe, and so maybe Alliance Francaise or the Goethe Institute or the British Council, or, you know, and several others are usually where you get a lot of the funding. So it's not something you can consistently rely on. And initially we did, but we realized that it slowed us down, because you're kind of putting all your eggs in this one basket of, I hope they get this funding. And when it doesn't happen, it can kind of really mess with the way you strategically at least run your company. So we've kind of been moving away from that. We do apply for the grants, do apply for all of those things, and we are kind of strategically moving towards making enough revenue on our own so we can invest in our own projects, because that will be a lot more sustainable for us as a team. And also kind of building a community so that crowdfunding is now possible. Building an actual community around Weza, building an actual community around our games, and building an actual community around our universe. So when we actually go and talk to a lot of our community and be like, hey, we are trying to make this game and we really need your support, we really have that, we really built that. So that's kind of where we put our focus mainly. And I'm not advising the game developer in Africa to not focus on the grants. It is, you can do it, but there's a lot of competition. And you'll be competing with somebody that is maybe revolutionizing healthcare, and you're coming with a video game. Like, sometimes it can be kind of tricky. So it's much better to really focus on how can I generate revenue for myself and for my company and for my team, and then reinvest that into the projects that you love, the projects that you care about. Yeah.
Thanks. Damara, I know you have to leave us in a bit, but I'd love for you to be able to just give everyone a little bit more about where to find you and find Anushka and be able to get it for themselves before you head out.
Yeah, so you can find me on everywhere, all the social media, the regular suspects. I'm on Instagram at Adoato Pictures, or at my name, also on Facebook and LinkedIn, Adoato Pictures, or my name as well. And Anushka will be just finished. We just wrapped up showing it at South by Southwest and are now working on like a public library launch, so you can stay up to date on our socials regarding that for sure.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll continue the conversation with Jordan James in a bit, but thank you again for taking the time to join us. We were talking earlier about like community feedback and how you're able to incorporate that into the game, and how people are able to, like, you know, share their thoughts, their responses. I will have the same with we had with the networking event yesterday, but curious about how you've been able to incorporate people's feedback, or if that's, you know, something that you've been able to do so far, or a plan for the future, I guess.
Definitely, it's something that is actually very key to us, because I think a lot of the time, or even at the moment, we don't really 100% know exactly what, you know, African players want to play. You know, what games do they want to see, what costumes do they want to wear, what kind of activities or mechanics do they want to play. So player feedback is really important for us, especially as we're kind of creating what will become like the next, I don't know, what African gaming is, you know, because it's still not very defined at the moment. We're all defining it with the games we make. So we incorporate feedback a lot in everything that we do. We do internal testing, and we do have external testers as well. In fact, right at this moment, we're actually looking for external testers for Riziki, as we fine-tune some of the games and the progression systems, and really try to figure out, what exactly do people want? Do they want more multiplayer? Do they want more rewards? Do they want, more events? It's really, really important for us because it is how you make sure you're making a fun game, you're making an experience that people will actually value, and something that also will create communities, which is something we really, really want. I want to make sure we really nail in our games. So yeah, we usually show up a good amount of the events. I'm based in Germany, so I go get a good amount of feedback from here, from Gamescom, from a lot of the events that also happen in Kenya, Nairobi, like Nikon, and also like Africa Games Week. And yeah, so we have a good amount of communities that we use for testing, and we actually right now looking for testers for Riziki. So if you're interested, definitely find it on our page. Yeah.
Yes, we can definitely help you with finding some testers. I'm sure there will be a ton in the chat for raising their hand to work with you. I'm curious. You mentioned since you live in Germany, but you've gotten more support. You said from within Europe than in Africa. So I'm curious as to one, why do you think that is? But I think that I have some thoughts as to why it is. But I'm curious as to your thoughts there and how we can change that. And where that change should be coming from, or who, I guess, within the continent can come from.
Yes, well, it's just that a lot of the creative funding, and it's specifically the gaming industry, has come usually from, I'd say primarily from Germany, France, or Britain. Most of the funding has come from them. It's been great. We've been able to push our projects to where they are now, and I'm actually happy because they give us a great amount of exposure for both projects and really expose us to the whole global gaming industry. Why that is, I think it's just the industry is a lot more established. Our industry is literally at its infancy. There's a lot of we basically have to teach our investors how to invest into the gaming industry. There's a gap there. They don't really know much about it. They are more used to investing in maybe in fintech or in medtech or in business or in other places than they are in the creative industry. They don't understand how money is made. So a lot of the time, you're going to be doing a lot of convincing even before you get any funding. While in, for example, international countries, there's a lot more established. It's a lot more established. All these funds already exist publicly and privately to invest in games. They know the value. They know how the industry works. They know how much attention it's given. So it's much easier for them to go pitch a game to them than it is in Africa at the moment. How we can change that? Well, I believe it is very key for us to start making our own revenue as gaming companies. We need to start growing as an industry rather than growing as a company alone. Make a lot of connections, make a lot of networks, grow together. Black communities and African communities, the African diaspora, have grown largely because they came together. No matter where you go. So I think that's exactly what we need to do. Come together a lot more, think tank a lot more, so we can kind of propel each other up, So I think that's going to be probably what I think is the main solution to really all of that. We've all kind of gone through our whole careers and accumulated so much experience. Imagine now if we all put that together, that's how I see it.
Yeah. That's exactly why we're here and why World Africa Day of Play exists. One last question for you, because I think you both have personal experience in it, but just the educational opportunities to getting into gaming for people who are on the continent and are interested in getting into the industry. As you said, the industry is still in its infancy. So are there enough curriculum, like college curriculums, majors, opportunities, and to learn how to get into the industry versus study abroad, and who has that opportunity to do so? So I think that's also not everyone gets to go to different countries to be able to study abroad as well. So I'm curious just what's the status, I guess, of where people are able to learn to get into the industry, or where you would recommend that people to start.
Okay, so with regard to Kenya, we have the Africa Digital Media Institute. So it's a training school. You're trained until, let me say, diploma level or certification level. Right now, they currently have a course on game design and game development. So that's a step ahead in terms of building capacity and competence in game design and game development. Yeah, and they also provide internship programs with different kinds of, creative companies, whether you're an animation studio, video game studio. So we are a very active partner with them. We have taken up at least 3 to 4 cohorts right now each year. So yes, there's Africa Digital Media Institute, and then there are also cross-border kind of platforms. There's one by Africa Communicate, which is called Game Up Africa, where they conduct classes online. So I think even George can handle that a bit more. And then there's also one by Malio Games. I think it's called George, what's its name?
I believe the one by Malio is Game Up, and then
the one by Malio is Game Up Africa, and the one by Africa Communicate is ARC.
The ARC Fellowship.
ARC Pitch. ARC Fellowship. Yes. Yeah. So at least locally within the continent, I would say that kind of collaboration is actually what's building a lot of capacity within the continent in game design and development. But I guess also George can touch on a higher level of, educational capacity, because he's attained a master's in game development and research in Cologne University.
Yes, there are a good amount of places where you can actually learn game development now. It's getting a lot better every day. When I was getting into the industry, there wasn't really anywhere you could learn it, and I had to I started with a software engineering degree, which was the closest thing you could do to become a game programmer, and just applied all my knowledge there. That is actually a path that anybody can take as well. There are schools that James mentioned, there's ADMI, there's a lot of cohorts around the continent where they would give you game development skills, which actually are really pushing a lot of the new game developers into the industry, and pretty fortunate to have those. Also, South Africa, there is, I believe, the Wits College and a couple of other, I think, incubators for game development as well. So I've seen a lot of these places pop up. In Egypt, I believe they are as well. In Tunisia, they are for 3D and game development. So they are popping up all over the continent. If you actually purpose to look, you can actually find. And the good thing about these places is they do offer online. You can join them online. So yes, we've gone a lot farther than we were in the past in terms of getting your education as a game developer. I don't think you necessarily have to get a master's in a different country. Most times that can be quite expensive. Honestly, you break your bank doing it. So unless you are sure, very, very sure about it, or there's something else you want from that experience, maybe it's the network, maybe it's access to opportunities, I'd say it's worth it to explore abroad. But I do encourage everybody to grow the industry back at home, because in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll have a really big boom. The next billion gamers are going to come from our continent. So it is to everybody's benefit that we do figure out what does this audience really want to play? What do they want to engage with? What games they want to be designed? And also we get really competent game developers from all these communities.
Yeah. I know we talked a lot about game development within the industry, but James, you are also on the legal side and have brought your legal expertise into the gaming scene. If you want to talk a bit about what that's been like for you, and just being able to merge the two. So I think that's one of the things that we've noticed too, is with the education within getting into the industry, it's primarily focused on game development, which is of course important, but there's so many other ways to work within the gaming industry outside of being a developer. So here's if you want to talk more about the legal side of working in gaming.
Yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey. For me, when we first incorporated, it was more administrative, an administrative role, just making sure that the company was, registered well and we were compliant with regulators in terms of taxation, because we were doing a lot of grant fundraising, and that needed a lot of compliance with regard to taxation and value-added tax and whatnot. But then as we matured and, we started collaborating or partnering with distributors, then now my role became more specialized in terms of commercial law, negotiating these contracts, knowing what these terms mean, even as we stepped into accelerators and things like that, accelerators. There were agreements that we had to sign with these organizations, and some of these organizations were actually international organizations. So understanding their laws, things like warranty agreements, and where they would take up equity within our startups, and just understanding all those terminologies, and there's of course this whole craze of VC funding and all that. So I had to do a lot of research in terms of understanding valuation of companies, understanding the value of our assets, looking at our products as assets and the value that they add to the company, and generally the skill set. So yeah, there's that from an administrative perspective, but there's also intellectual property, where we of course had to register our copyright within the game. And in Kenya, video games are categorized under audiovisual works. So yes, there's a video game, but then there are also other creative elements within video games. So there's the software, which is a literary work which needs to be registered. And then we have the 2D, 3D animations, the UI UX, and also the environmental art, the storyboards, and even the characters. So I had to actually become more specialized in understanding all these things. And it's been a great journey. I'm doing a couple of courses, the WIPO courses on copyright and all the like, and also taking up other courses. There's an organization called Indie Game Business, which provides short courses on publishing agreements, and also those ones are very key for any gaming studio or any game developer to understand. So yeah, I would say we don't have any specialized law for gaming law within Kenya, but then right now, even what we are doing with our company, we are collaborating with a certain company called Atlo Kenya to educate people or developers or any kind of stakeholder within the creative sector to actually learn about what cross-industry collaboration looks like, because we're developing a musical game which is incorporating music, and this game promises to expose artists to audiences outside of Kenya, global audiences, and also earn revenue from our games. So what does that look like in terms of revenue share, royalties, and the rights, maybe even image rights if you want to use any artist or dancer's image and likeness within our games. So just educating people about this, it's also showcasing us as thought leaders, and it's also challenging us to answer the relevant questions. There's also elements of AI that are also coming up. So there's a whole lot of personal research for us, so that we can really know what we're doing and what we're getting into, and also, showcase ourselves as a studio that really respects intellectual property, and cares about all our stakeholders. So yeah, that's what I can say.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I think it's helpful just for people who are interested in joining the industry from a different perspective outside of game development to hear. Before we wrap up, give us where people can find your games and start playing them, especially to participate in a playtest, which I'm sure people are interested in the chat. So give us where we can find your games and play them and connect with you.
All our games are available on itch.io. I believe you know the website. If you just search Riziki or you search Mzito, you'll find it there. We'll be launching them. Well, we'll be relaunching some of the games also on the Play Store and the iOS store pretty soon, so you can actually get access to them then if you prefer that. We are doing a playtest as well, so you can find all the links on our page. Just search Riziki.mzito on either TikTok or on Instagram, and you'll find us there. You find all the information. Join our playtest. Help us make a really, really amazing rhythm game, a really amazing dance game.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll go back to the live section within our World Africa Day of Play event. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
And we are back, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this very last panel of the day. It was already the last one. Damn, time just flies when you're having a good time, I guess. Okay, you know what we're gonna do next, right? You must be used to it by now. So we are announcing a very new giveaway. It's actually still the same stuff, but we are giving away 3 different keys for Hero Games Orient Legacy on Steam, another one for Xbox, and we're also giving away Toss Down Game from Fear Factor, which is also available on Steam. So, and also a mug, obviously. The Black Girl Gamers mug. Don't forget to type !giveaway in the chat to make sure to participate, and we will announce the winners just a bit later. And now I wanted to talk about the panel that we just saw. The discussions were super interesting as always, and I think it's just always so insightful, so interesting to see how they are making the games locally, how they managed to bring them to life. What did you think, JN?
Yeah, I mean, at first it's like everyone in the chat went like really happy about Riziki, and those are two brothers behind the game. So I think it's really great to see the 2 faces behind the game. Look at everyone moving in the chat. I think a game like that, again, is a soft reclamation of Black culture, specifically African culture specifically. I think everyone loves Black culture, but ownership is very important. So I felt very positive about seeing their faces and just seeing what they've created. I also loved the fact that what Tamara said was that when she was creating her game, is that she's not trying to lean into addictive tech. She's not trying to lean into addictive gaming models, and that connection with the Black Archives in Netherlands. I think that was really interesting because, you know, there's certain things that just happen in the game industry and everyone just does it because it's done. But she's actually trying to lean away from that addictive element, and I think that's really great. Sinners mentioned, amazing.
Yes, we were all
Sinners
like
again.
surprised to hear about Sinners. I hope everybody in the chat watch it. If you haven't, please go and do yourself that service, please.
Yeah. That one scene, the scene where Miles Caton, I believe the actor is singing "Somebody Help Me." It's my song.
Yeah.
I love that song. It's just a beautiful show of like from where we're coming from to what we can create, and they're just the connection. So those couple moments of that panel definitely stuck out to me.
Yeah. No, I love that. You know, I went to check out their website, and they were saying that they specialize in creating authentic African experience. So this is like their life's mission, you know, and not everybody can say that. And they go not just from game development, but also publishing and consulting, all of that at the same time. And I feel like, to me, it feels like making games in Africa and like in different parts of Africa is not always the same, but most of the time it's always about teaching people new skills and even like switching mindsets, you know, making people be aware of how to do things differently to make sure that this game actually happened. And it's also about constantly like convincing people that, you know, this is real, right? And this can create opportunities for not just the local economy, but also like the rest of the industry, right? And it's the same. It's actually the same in some European countries, that the industry is just building itself up. So it's not just in Africa, and I feel like it's also good to mention that.
100%.
Right. Sorry.
That collaboration is literally building up industry. So 100%.
Yeah.
One more
somebody
thing.
mentioned. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say one more thing. I learned a new word and learned a new Swahili word. Riziki means music in Swahili. That's what he said on the panel. That's what
he said that earlier.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So learn a new word as well. So I just wanted to mention that before we move on.
Yeah, you did it right. Learn Swahili by playing Tales of Kenzera Zao, obviously, and then by playing Riziki. Do we know like when the game is releasing? Do you have an idea?
I don't know, but we can definitely find out and let people know.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you have that information. Otherwise, when it comes out, I mean, we're probably going to be like, playing it live, dancing live. Actually, we'll try and make that happen in the future. Okay, so earlier somebody was asking me in the chat if I was French, and I wanted to check something out with you guys real quick. Jay, do you know how to say dark light in French?
Why you put me on the spot?
That too.
Why you put me on the spot?
I have to.
So I don't speak French. I did learn French a couple times in my life, which just shows my tenacity. Okay. But I speak Spanish. So I know in Spanish, light is luz. So maybe, and I know that Spanish and French, they're cousins, just like it's
exactly.
So it's something to do with Lou something.
Yeah, it's funny. I love that thought process, to be honest. And you're quite close, actually, because you can translate light into lumière, literally lumière. Maybe lumière already gives you like an idea of where I'm going with this. No, but I wanted to ask because you can translate dark light into clair obscur. And I had to mention this game because it's a French game that is being very trendy right now, very popular. So yeah, I want to check out if you played it.
I have not. I have such a backlog of games right now. I'm currently on Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I'm playing through.
Right.
And I'm also checking out this other new game that's still in being development called Towers of Agaspa. It's actually focused a lot on culture, but from the Asia and South Pacific and stuff like that. But
right.
I haven't played Clair Obscur. I've seen a lot of clips though. Is it good?
Okay. Oh my God. You have no idea. It's really, really good. Now, does it have Black people in there? Does it have African people perhaps in there? That's another topic. That's another discussion we may need to have another time. So we can talk about that later. But it's definitely a super, super good game. And I'm not saying that just because I'm French. Let's be clear, right? But I definitely recommend it. It's not African, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah. So yeah, tell us in the chat if you've tried it.
Awesome. Well, we want to essentially get the giveaways going and make sure everyone's got those giveaways winners before we end the stream. Giveaways winners, Jayan.
Yeah.
So we have our winners right now and we're going to announce them. So we have the winner of the Orion Steam code. Sid say hi. Hey, Sid says hey. Congratulations. The Orion Xbox code, Paco Mama 69. The winner of the Toss Down demo, Topaz TV, and the winner of the BGG mug, Lady Ray Cargate. Congratulations, everyone. Make sure you check out your Twitch Whispers to win your prizes, to claim your prizes. And thank you so much for sitting here and watching with us as well. So, yeah. Congratulations. And I guess that means we've come to the end of World Africa Day of Play 2025. I can't lie, this year has been way more stacked than our last year.
Yeah.
And we're just completely committed to growing it even more. So many more features of studios, so many more games that caught my eye. Thank you so much for Jane for being here. How are you feeling?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was great. It went by way too fast, to be honest, but I had a really cool time and it just feels so inspiring seeing all of these beautiful games. Some of them are still being in development, some of them maybe are already out there. And yeah, where else can we find a place where we can find all of these games coming all together? I guess you have to tune it for, World Africa Day of Play next year too. So I can't wait to, do that next year again, probably. And I'm hoping that everybody lives, the life with all of that beautiful, just those beautiful games to play.
Mm.
And yeah, before we go, I also wanted to know something because I created a non-profit, a community called Afro-Gamers, right? We were saying that earlier. And I wonder what the chat thinks a Black Girl Gamers and Afro-Gamers collaboration should look like. I really want to know. Maybe some of the Afro-Gamers are here. Maybe it could be nice to not wait for WADUP 2026 to start collaborating, right? Maybe start with a watch party on Discord.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a Clair Obscur situation where you play in French and we play it in English because, we know that we're both not so good at speaking the other's language.
No, you're way better than me in English than I am in French. No, you sat here and presented a whole event in English. I think your levels are above mine. Let's just be very honest.
Thank you for bearing this with me. It's not my native language, but I try and do my best.
You did so good. And whilst we think all of that through when it comes to like what we're thinking about for the collaboration, because I definitely think a watch party would happen, maybe a tournament as well would be cool or something like that.
Yeah.
Make sure in chat
something in real life, you know.
Yeah, too. A mix up something in Paris or something in London. You know, we could do something like between our hometowns. But make sure in chat you're following all the creatives and the panelists from today's showcase. If the mods can just give a shout out to all the kind of panelists using the panel commands, and if someone wants to type in game list and ! game list to get all the list of the games that were featured today, you can get all of that and follow people. But also, Jane, where can everyone find you to follow you?
All right, so you can find me right here on Twitch. I stream every Tuesday at 1 p.m. CET, Paris time. For you, I think that would be 9 a.m., I guess. And yeah, I talk about, I just give gaming news every Tuesday. You can find me on Instagram as well. The name is Invincible Jane. And if you listen to the radio, if you can speak French, you can find me also at the radio RFI, RFI. It's the International French Radio. So I talk about games every week at RFI. And yeah, if you want to link up, just reach out to me either here on Twitch or on Instagram. Thank you so much, guys.
Yay! Make sure you follow Jane as well. And if you are new to BGG, you haven't come across us before, this is one of the first events, or you just like to stay in touch with us for the future, sign up to the newsletter by doing !newsletter in the chat and fill out that form that gets sent. If you are a Black woman or non-binary gamer that would like to join Black Girl Gamers private community, let's do !join in the chat and we'll send you the verification form. But make sure you're not leaving the BGG Twitch channel. Like, don't make sure you don't go nowhere, because on Wednesdays and Saturdays our stream team stream live and they're doing just hilarious gameplay all the time. Additionally, we have a huge thank you to everyone that's joined, and part of that thank you is 10% discount code off of the Black Girl Gamers merch store. So if you do !merch in the chat, you'll get the link that brings you straight to the chat. Get yourself a mug, get yourself a cushion. We also have gaming candles, right? For our cozy gamers out there,
wow.
We have the cushions, the candles, and the blankets. So you have your cozy gaming set. So get 10% off of that as well. In terms of our next events, we have virtual Juneteenth kickback that we're having, and we're going to play some Black American indie games, and our Link and Level Up networking events. They happen quarterly. So make sure you sign up to that newsletter so you know everything about the announcements and you can get first dibs on the early bird tickets. If you're a Black Girl Gamer, also make sure that you're checking out the Discord, the emails, so you don't miss out on community events. We're hosting a very special South of Midnight event, reading scary stories from the Black Southern folklore and inspired by Haint and the other creatures in the game that you'll find in South of Midnight. Ensure that you're following all of us on social media. Mine's in the chat. Black Girl Gamers is in the chat as well. And I think that really wraps us up for World Africa Day of Play. So
please don't make me.
Oh
wow.
Wait, I'm just hearing from the back end that we've just got 10 gifted subs. Thank you so much. I appreciate the gifted subs. We thank you so much for being here and supporting something like World Africa Day of Play. It's super important for us to, as a community, tap into each other's experiences, support each other's experiences, initiatives. We're all here trying to win, so let's just help each other. That wolf pack element again. So,
absolutely.
Any last words, Jane, before we go? Do you want to say anything?
I mean, just thank you everyone for tuning in, for this amazing event. I really want it to happen every year. I'll be looking forward to it every single year, and it's probably going to show up on YouTube as well, right? So make sure to share it around, have people discover all of these games, because I guess that's the best way to support, African creatives and game developers. Just play the games, check them out, share them around you, and yeah, this would be a great help, and I'm just so happy that I can be part of this for this year. Hopefully next year too, and yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of it. And to you, the audience at home, at work, church, wherever you are on a Sunday, thank you so much for tuning in to World Africa Day of Play, and we'll see you soon. Thanks very much.
See you.